friends! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Xoxo, this is Xoxo Tarot, and in today's figure card reading, we are going to be looking at what you need to know right now. So I love doing readings like this because it allows for literally any message to come through. So I have no clue what's going to come through today. It is going to be up to the cards. But with that being said, you may have noticed I am not home right now, so I apologize if the audio is weird. Obviously, the video is a little, we're doing the best we can, but can't really control the shadows or the glares or outside audio. So I apologize if that's distracting, but hopefully not distracting enough to take you away from messages. If you still have complaints though, you can direct them to my butthole. But with that being said, let's go ahead and look at what is in this reading. So to start, we are going to do the energy check, and that is going to be the topic of the reading. So if you resonate with the first couple cards that are indicating what the reading itself is going to be about, then that reading is for you. If it resonates but you don't want to know about that, then maybe hold on to this and wait until you do want to know about that topic. But if it doesn't resonate and you don't need to know about whatever I'm describing in the beginning portion of the reading, then it's not for you. Then we are going to move into tarot, and we are just going to look at what you need to know about this topic. I'm not asking specific questions. I just want to let whatever wants to come through come through. So I will shuffle intuitively and just see what messages come out about this and what you need to know about it. Then we are going to get guidance for you based on what came through in the reading. That could be related to anything, and I will do it based on the reading itself and what I think would be most effective and helpful for you in terms of guidance. And then we are going to finish off with a positive quote meant for you. I found a positive quotations book, and I thought it would be cool to just finish off with something like that. So that is what we are going to be covering today, and we have 3 different groups for you to choose from. So starting with group number 1, we have the first oracle card, and I have this blue lace agate palm stone on top. I must say, blue lace agate is one of my favorites. It's so gorgeous. And then for pile 2, we are going to be, I say we are going to be using because I'm just so used to adding a deck, but we have the second oracle card, and we have this Dalmatian Jasper palm stone on top. As you can tell, Dalmatian Jasper is also one of my favorites. And then finally, for the third group, we have this last oracle card, and we have this Rhodochrosite palm stone on top. So with that being said, go ahead and pause the video if you need to, or do whatever you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It's really no big deal if you click on the wrong reading. The energy check will be there to let you know whether the reading is going to be fully meant for you or not. And if you need to do process of elimination, that's totally fine. You can resonate with more than one reading. That is absolutely okay. And obviously this video is timeless, so whenever you find it is when it is meant for you. So I can't wait to get into today's reading and see what these messages are about. So go ahead and scroll down to the comment section or the description box where I will have the timestamps for each reading. And then once you have picked your pile or piles, I will see you in your reading. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see what Spirit has for you. See you soon. Hi there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the blue lace agate palm stone and this oracle card, this is going to be your reading on what you need to know right now. So if you want a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro, but we're going to start by looking at the topic of this reading. So if this resonates, then this reading is meant for you. If it does not, then it is not. So to start, we have the Starborn. Please excuse my blanket. We have the Owl, and we have Earth's Heart. Okay, just gonna make sure these are like somewhat okay, and then sit down so my voice isn't right next to the mic and I'm not like yelling in your ear. I love this pile 1. I'm not gonna lie. This reading is definitely meant for you if you are in a phase of awakening, and it could be spiritually, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Well, I mean, I guess spirituality is so rooted in the human experience that like a human experience is spiritual. Does that make sense? And I feel like what you are going through right now is like a very magical combination of either awakening to or reawakening to a dream that you've had since you were little, a dream that you've always had in your heart but maybe you thought wasn't possible, or a renewal of a dream that maybe you're even already living, but you want that to expand or evolve somehow. With the Starborn card being here, this definitely tells me that this message and what you need to know about is related to your destiny, is related to seeds that were planted in your soul far before you were born, but are very important to you carrying out your mission here on earth, whatever that is. Whether that mission is to just be a human and have human experiences, or serve others and have human experiences. I think we all have the mission to be human and embrace those experiences. But in your case, I definitely feel like you could be going through certain psychic awakenings, like maybe you're becoming more clairvoyant. Clairvoyance is highlighted in this owl card. This owl card also talks about the Hindu goddess Lakshmi, so she could be significant. We also, in this card, have themes of seeing things before they appear, knowing things before they appear, wealth, abundance, beauty, creativity, all very beautiful things. And the interesting thing is I don't know what phase you're at right now, but the overall gist that I'm getting from you, if this is your reading, is no matter where you're at, it seems like you're in a phase of expansion, but in that expansion, there's a lot of uncertainty. So like you can even kind of see, you know, even though the owl itself is defined, everything around the owl is in darkness. And so I do feel like there's a lack of awareness when it comes to maybe the next steps to take, or even what is meant to come next. Like maybe you don't even have a specific idea or a specific dream, or maybe you have that dream but you don't know how those steps are going to unfold. One thing I do know is that you seem to have this inner knowing deep down that no matter what, it is going to be okay and it is going to work out, but it's almost like I don't know how I'm going to get there yet. And that's kind of the hard thing with soul missions and soul journeys, is we don't really, the roadmap is in our heart, and I think you're awakening to that roadmap. And let me be clear, the process of awakening, like you could be spiritually awake, but I think that even in that awakening, there's constant expansion, and it can be very easy to fall asleep. It can be very easy to get shut down by fear. And so I definitely wonder if for some of you, maybe even if you have gone out and, you know, accomplished certain dreams or something like that, and you may be doubting yourself, doubting your abilities. No matter what, I do get the vibe that all of you are maybe doubting your abilities and doubting the inner nudges of your soul. Like everyone that came to this reading today, what you have in common is the fact that you have an inner nudge in your soul that is telling you something. And you may not know what it is asking you to do. It may be very general, like service, or going in a specific direction, or awakening to a truth about someone, whatever it may be. It's like you have awareness of certain things, but the logistics may be really confused, or you may have no idea where to go, or you may have no idea of like what's coming. It's like you don't even know what you don't know. You just know what you do know, and know that it's gonna be fine. I know that sounded a little bit silly, but there's this beautiful merging happening between like your soul and your human journey here on earth. And you know, if you've never noticed before, earth is just heart. It's the same word as heart. And maybe for some of you, I don't necessarily think for all of you, you could have resented being a human on earth, which is like such a mood. The amount of times I just wish I could be an ethereal essence and not be in a body. Like bodies can be annoying, being a human can be challenging, but there's so many gifts and so many beautiful aspects of being human. And you know, as humans, we are stewards on this planet. And I think that one thing you're awakening to is just how much the earth and the world need you, and how important it is that you follow this destiny of what you feel. the interesting thing is that I think one thing that's really getting in the way of you being able to feel into what the universe is trying to communicate to you is a lot of fear around logistics, and very, very human logistics, like, you know, things like, you know, how would I pay for this? Like, how would things change? Like, it seems like you're really focused on the practical know-how, which there's nothing wrong with that. Practicality can be important. But I do feel like there is a part of you that doesn't trust that the abundant universe will provide. And abundance does not necessarily mean money. Abundance can be a plethora of things. And plenty of people have tons of money and they're not abundant. So just recognize that. But it seems like you're either beginning or you are reestablishing a very important journey in terms of your destiny here on Earth. I would recommend for all of you, if you haven't, to look at your North Node in your birth chart and see where that is, because the North Node in your birth chart often indicates the soul's destiny. And the South Node talks about what you've already learned. So like, for example, I'm a North Node in Virgo, so my destiny is to be of service, to do Virgoan things, like to be more organized and, you know, to focus on practical earthly matters. And my Pisces South Node is like, no, I want to stay in bed and vibe. Time's not a thing. I don't want to do things. I just want to flow with what is. And so, you know, naturally, a lot of times what comes naturally to us is the antithesis of what we're being pushed towards. But the beautiful thing is that as we step into our North Node, we realize like how much we need the energy that we're trying to step into, because, you know, my Pisces energy is not useful for me. If I'm being honest, it makes me a bit of a menace to myself. And, you know, Virgo stuff, even though it's boring and I don't like it sometimes, it feels so good, and it feels like empowering to go out of what's comfortable and do something different. So I definitely feel like you are in this process of learning how to balance what you do know and what you don't know, what you know to be true and what you're uncertain about, your faith with doubt. And also, I feel like there's a part of you that's really dying to talk more about this, but it seems like the people that you would talk to about this, it would either fall on deaf ears or they wouldn't get it. It's like, you know how people can give you well-meaning advice, but it may not be relevant for you. It seems like you've been kind of holding and protecting whatever these dreams are, whatever you've been feeling guided towards. And I do actually think that's been the correct response. If you want to, since there are going to be plenty of other pile ones, if you want to talk about what you've been going through and experiencing, feel free to comment it down below. I guarantee you there are other wonderful pile ones out there who are going through the same thing. And the comment section can be a great place for you guys to uplift and support each other. And I'd love to be able to give some love to you guys too. So feel free to do that if you want. But I definitely think right now there is this kind of like, it's almost like a halfway point on a journey where for some of you, it's like you need that, you need like this reignition to remind you why you're doing what you're doing and why it's worth it. And for others, it's like you're reawakening to something that was really special and very important to you, maybe as a child, or maybe you always held as a dream, but you thought couldn't be a reality. The commonality, the core theme of every single person who came to this reading is the dream that you have in your heart, the one that you felt as soon as I talked about that, and thought as soon as I talked about that, that is meant to come to fruition in some way, shape, or form. How may look different than how you expect, but it is meant to happen. And the way it is meant to happen may not be the most logical, it may not be the most linear, but if you trust the universe and trust Earth, it will help you unfold. It will help you unfold on your path with more ease. And I feel like one thing that you need to know is that you may feel connection to the stars or connection to spirits, but I think you're really being encouraged to venture out into Earth more, into nature more, and start to get to know Earth's energy and there's also like earth spirits, maybe for some of you, you may start connecting with. Obviously, that's gonna depend on abilities and only do what you're comfortable with, but connecting with nature is a very healing thing. And I feel like there could be a part of you that may trust in the guidance, but not trust in your ability to ground it. And I think whatever you're going through right now is getting you in the process of being able to ground this. So to summarize, what you need to know, or the topic that you need to know about, relates to your spiritual and psychic awareness, your path and your destiny. Something that is very special and important in your heart is meant to manifest, because it's not only beneficial for you and your destiny, but it's beneficial for the planet and the beings on it. So whatever is trying to unfold is for the highest good of all beings. And whatever psychic things are happening to you, like if you're having really vivid dreams, or you're starting to see and experience things that you haven't felt before, just know that these are your gifts expanding. Feel free to look into resources about how to hone that, but the abilities that are expanding right now are going to help you trust more in what the universe is guiding you towards, and also just be able to communicate with the universe more easily and understand what it's trying to communicate to you. I also think there's a lot of wisdom that you've already gained, and another message that I'm hearing is that if there are certain dreams that you've wanted to work out, and you know in your heart they're meant to work out, but for whatever reason they just haven't unfolded the way you've wanted them to, even though you've tried, but you feel like you can't give up, don't give up. If it's not manifesting right now, or if it hasn't manifested in the past despite you working towards it, it's not because you were doing anything wrong. It's because the experiences you needed in order to have the big heart manifestation, you needed to have certain experiences that would give you the wisdom and awareness now, so that when this dream manifests, you're able to step into it empowered and sovereign, and not I don't want to say squander, but I guess squander your potential, or the potential of this dream to manifest, because you don't have enough wisdom to hold it yet. It's kind of like, you wouldn't let a 5-year-old make Thanksgiving dinner. They need to grow, they need to learn. Maybe they can help with something small, or do something like that, but it's almost like, Spirit's waiting for you to grow so that you can be the chef making the feast, rather than, be a 5-year-old overwhelmed in a kitchen that they don't know how to use and will probably hurt themselves. Anything that has it, like if you feel like the universe has been withholding this from you, or like if you worry that the universe is like trying to play some cosmic version of punked on you, that is not the case. Everything, even the things you don't understand, have had their purpose. And some of the experiences where you felt like this thing was going to manifest, or this thing was going to happen, and then it didn't mean that you were doing something wrong, or that something was off. Everything was in alignment. It's just that whatever experiences you had, the wisdom and the experience from that was very important for you to integrate before like what needs to unfold will unfold. But this is really beautiful energy, and whatever you're moving towards is really powerful. And I think the biggest thing here is that seeing is not believing, believing is seeing. The more you believe in yourself and believe in where the universe is guiding you, the more signs and confirmation you'll have that you're on the right path. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into your tarot now and see what you need to know about this. So if you are enjoying this and you would like to, leaving me a little like or a subscribe is super helpful. So thank you to everyone who does that. Shows me appreciation. I love you guys so much. And I'm really excited to see what Spirit has to say about this, because I could feel myself starting to get into what is probably the tarot portion. I feel like the universe is really excited to work more intimately with you. And one thing that I'm hearing too is that the more you connect to yourself and the world around you, the more you'll realize the universe is always listening. And in fact, I think there are many signs and messages that have fallen on deaf ears, or that you have missed because you've been focused on like worry, or focused on how to do something, or focused on why you don't think it'll work out. Like I definitely think one of the things that you are working on is building your trust in the universe, and building and learning how to balance, trusting in where the universe is guiding you, and not letting your ego write stories about what happens. Because I think that sometimes or at certain points, maybe you thought something was going to manifest that was never necessarily indicated, but whatever did end up manifesting was supposed to help you move towards this goal. And maybe you took, this manifestation unfolding differently than you thought as a sign that you failed or that it's not for you. If something is truly not meant for you, you won't feel a yearning for it in your heart. If something is not meant, and let me be clear, there's a difference between like limerence and love. And for a lot of you, I really don't even think this has to do with another person. Like, other people could be involved, but a soul deep loving mission, like, you almost couldn't run away from it even if you tried. I'm seeing SpongeBob, that episode where Squidward takes time off to run errands, and SpongeBob's like, have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? And it's like just making me think of how even if you fell off your path, even if you tried to walk away from what has meaning to you, the universe would not stop like harassing you. And it would become harder and harder to live a life inauthentic to yourself, because the universe has beautiful plans in store for you. So let's give this one more good shuffle and see what you need to know about this. So Spirit, what does Pio 1 need to know about their soul's path, their destiny, and its unfoldment at this time? Ah, we have the World. Okay, beautiful. What else, Spirit? Okay, we have the Star. Sorry, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna apologize for being excited. Never mind. What else? We have the Two of Swords. Yep, that makes sense. And one more. Ah, we have the Ace of Swords. Oh, this is beautiful. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the King of Pentacles. So I'm going to take this off to the side. But for those of you who are curious, I am taking the bottom of the deck in this reading as just like a hidden message or an aspect of hidden awareness. So whatever you are working towards, I promise you, not only will you be stable in it, but you will be able to reap and cultivate not only abundance for yourself, but stability, security, and even be able to provide for others. Not only that, but I think that you'll be able to be a leader in some sort of important endeavor. I think that you are going to help guide others, and I think there are going to be many people that look to you for support, awareness, resources, and I don't necessarily mean resources in terms of like just people asking you for money, but like, you know, I think that you are going, if you're not already, you're going to be a valued and respected leader in whatever community this mission asks of you. So this is so beautiful. Where do we even start? I love that the first two cards that came out are essentially just an extension of these two cards. This is a merging of heaven and earth, and this is a union of your soul with your human body. And that union is so important, because if you're very earthly focused, it can be hard to remember your higher principles and spiritual truths. And if you're too spiritually focused, you can forget to ground yourself, and it can be more challenging to bring the spiritual wisdom you have within you and around you into the present moment. So first of all, with the World card being here, your mission, you can't fuck it up. Like, you know how RuPaul says, don't fuck it up? You can't fuck it up. And I'm hearing CoverGirl, put the face in your walk. Like, I feel like you're being encouraged to really start standing up and affirming who the fuck you are in this world. And you have a mission here that you need to fulfill, and you are meant to. Like, there is no amount of bullying or obstacles that could get in your way. Like, you are so powerful, you have no idea. And another thing that's really important to remember is that love can move mountains, and the mountains that you see in the way of your ability to move forward, or your ability to expand the way you want to and move into this journey and this whatever this purpose is for you, nothing can stop you. The only thing that can happen is you can be slowed down, which even in that slowing down, there can be wisdom in that. And also it could be divine in of itself. Because we have to remember that our journeys are not necessarily just our own. Like, all of our journeys are intermixed with one another. Like, you know, for example, everyone who came to this reading and resonated, everybody who is watching this, like, your journey is connected with mine. Like, we get to connect through this beautiful medium. And so sometimes there may be factors or components outside of your control that have nothing to do with your progress and what you have going on, but they need time and energy to materialize and come together. You know, one of the frustrating things about being on Earth is that things are not as instantaneous as they are with the light. Things do not move at the speed of light. They move at the speed of Earth. But this is one important thing with the world and the star. If you don't know something, if you don't have answers yet, you don't need them. You're gonna get them when you need them, and they're gonna happen like that. Like with this Ace of Swords, like this is lightning. Like it is gonna be light bulb moments where you're just like, I know what to do now. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. In my life, I always felt this like yearning to make a YouTube channel, but I never really had anything to say. And so for a really, really long time, I just, you know, watched and was a lurker. But when I found tarot and I started doing it, light bulb came on, and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do for YouTube. And so even though I had that yearning to create a channel and do something, it wouldn't have mattered if I did that before I had that idea, before I found tarot, because I wasn't ready yet. I didn't have a purpose yet, and I didn't have a reason to put myself out there and to communicate with you guys. So just know that when you are meant to know something, it will happen. Like, you cannot avoid the truth. Like, and the truth is rooted in love. And so these loving truths that you'll experience, they will be so powerful. You will know, like, it doesn't matter what obstacle comes my way. It doesn't matter whatever doubt or fear I experience. Like, those are just part of the tensions that come with facing the unknown and facing what's important to you. But it's so worth it, because what comes as a result is not only fulfillment of your life path, but like the ultimate joy of being able to achieve that, and the beautiful blessing that it is to be able to live a life authentic to you, and a life that you were actually meant for. I mean, think about how many people have dreams that never get realized because they don't believe in themselves, or because they don't have the access to, or they you know, are just so dead inside that they believe that their dreams are not for them anymore. You know, there are many people like that, and the thing is you following your dreams could be exactly what those people need in order to realize that their dreams are still out there waiting for them to catch them. That just because you're dead inside now doesn't mean you can't have more life. I will tell you, I was the queen of internal death. I really hated my life for a very, 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 very long time. And that's always a sign, and usually dark night of the soul is often, you know, a powerful but challenging and painful and difficult phase of life that you have to experience. One, in order to have compassion for others who are going through it, and two, to understand all facets of life. You know, darkness is a very important part of life, and you know, the ego likes to write stories about it, but it serves just as much as the light does. And I think one thing that we can get, that we can often, you know, do is believe that all darkness is bad. But that's not true at all. And I think in your case, whatever darkness you've been experiencing is essential to helping you gain the tools you need for the next stage of life. But this World card is telling me that you have reached a significant phase of completion. The World card is the last major arcana card in the deck. It talks about success, completion, fulfillment. So, and it also represents the fixed energies, or the fixed astrological placements, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. We also have air signs here: Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. You don't have to resonate with those, but you can take them as extra confirmation. You have a fixed destiny. Like, it's almost like things are fixed in your favor, because truthfully, things are always fixed in love's favor, because that's what the fabric of the universe is made of. And even like shadow and darkness cannot exist without light. If light isn't there, it's just void. It's not darkness. Darkness needs light to be reflected off of. And so in your case, what you need to know is that no matter how convincing or compelling the darkness is that you're experiencing, or no matter how bogged down you feel, or stressed you feel, or frustrated you feel about, you know, the uncertainty, the unknown, just know that you are doing amazing, sweetie, and you are going to continue to do amazing, and you're exactly where you need to be. And the biggest thing they're asking, by they, I mean the beings that love you unconditionally, spirit guides. I'm hearing Jesus specifically, but really any beings that love you unconditionally, they are wanting you to know, like, and I see them all around you, you are right where you need to be, and you're doing a great job. And you have, if you understood the magnitude and the power of the beings on the other side that are fueled by love and that serve love, you would never doubt yourself again, because you would realize that any obstacle in your way is just going to make you stronger and make you more powerful. And you never know why those obstacles are there. Sure, some people can send us more obstacles that we weren't bargaining for, but even in those, there's more learning and more awareness. So if anyone brings any bullshit to your doorstep that you didn't ask for and doesn't seem divine, just know that even then, they may serve. As frustrating as it is, you can use it to serve your growth. Even though it's annoying and frustrating, you can use it to serve your growth if you want to, and alchemize it into something really beautiful. But your dream is in alignment with a divine stream. That's why your heart won't let go of it. And that's why the universe will never give up on helping you get there. And with the star card being here, it is just a beautiful confirmation and reminder for you to have hope and have faith in what you feel and know to be true in your heart. Just because you haven't seen it unfold yet doesn't mean it's not there. In fact, I think one of the most helpful things you can do in terms of manifesting this is start embodying the feeling of whatever it is you want to experience, and ask yourself how would you be living your life if you did things that way. I also think that this is has a lot to do with healing as well. And I think that there is an emphasis on healing your relationship with your body, healing your relationship with the earth, and recognizing that the earth and the cosmos aren't separate, that they are one, and that you are not separate, and you are not forgotten, you are not lost, you're exactly where you need to be. And I feel like you've been doing a lot of the necessary and important healing that you've needed to do in order to be able to ground more of your destiny in the present. And I'm so excited for you to go through this journey and watch it unfold, because the interesting thing is that you don't even need to be the navigator of your journey. Your heart is the navigator. You're kind of a mixture of a passenger and like a crew member, where you are making things happen on the earthly plane, but also, you know, along for the ride and just seeing what happens. With the star here, I do feel like what you need to know too is that this dream that you have is not only going to be healing for you, but it's going to be healing for others. And the healing that you've already done, the healing that you're doing now, is assisting you greatly and helping this unfold. And actually, another thing they want you to know is that your brain is dissuading you and creating illusions that are not true. In fact, I think it's really interesting that these two swords kind of show this black hole and this black void. And I feel like you may not be seeing the light around you because the universe is trying to get you to see the light within you. I think that a lot of times it can be very easy for you to see what is wonderful outside of you, but not what is wonderful about you and within you. And, you know, you might have this feeling of like, well, why me? Like, why is the universe why does the universe want me to do this? Why does the universe guide me in this direction? Why is the universe, you know, constantly bringing me back to this situation or this feeling or this person or whatever it may be? And it's because it's in your heart. It's part of your journey, and there is a purpose for it. And it's because you're capable of doing whatever they're asking of you, whatever your soul is asking of you. Not only are you capable of doing it, but you are designed to do it. And just because you haven't started yet, or you haven't gotten as far along as you'd like, doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. You know, I think it's very easy to get caught up in this idea that we're behind or that we're failing just because we're not seeing, you know, a direct reflection of what we think we should be seeing in our outside world. And that's just not the case. I feel like you are heavily doubting what is going on within you because maybe you've placed a lot of trust in the external systems that you were conditioned by that maybe convinced you in the first place that these dreams were silly or frivolous or not worth it. But here's the beautiful thing. No matter how many distortions you take on, no matter how many times you forget your truth, the universe will be here to wake you up. And I think it's so beautiful that we have this like rainbow infinity sign, because it just goes to show how powerful your soul's truth is and how unstoppable you are when you follow it. Like, life is hard no matter what. You know, no human leaves this earth unscathed. But I'd be willing to bet that every single person here would rather choose the challenges that come with following what lights your heart on fire, rather than facing the challenges of living a life inauthentic to you and living a life that doesn't feel good, that doesn't uplift you, that doesn't serve your natural gifts and your awareness. Clarity is coming, and I think that it will continue to come as it needs to unfold. I really feel like you're being encouraged to get excited for the future, no matter what appears to be, and also recognize that you don't need to know where the destination is. You just need to know what the next step you have to take is. I really do think like your soul is your North Star, and that is what you're meant to follow. And with this Ace of Swords here, the universe will never stop giving you more clarity and giving you more awareness. And so if you are trying to seek it, that's when I would really encourage you to get in a place where you can kind of empty your head and really kind of become an empty container and be open and receptive and see what comes through. And you can do that in so many ways. You can do that through meditation, through automatic writing, through just asking for signs, but you can even just throw it out there in the world and forget about it. Because sometimes when our minds are attached to an outcome or attached to, you know, our path, which it's gonna be normal that your heart and mind are attached to what you are experiencing. And it's obvious your heart's gonna be attached to like your soul's path. But the universe will give you the answers you need when you need them. So if an answer is not coming and you've been working really hard on it, you're not meant to know it right now. If an answer is coming and you feel like you should know it and you feel like the answer is there, you just haven't been picking up on it, maybe that's when you want to go within and do some reflection or analysis, or at the very least just write down everything that you've been internalizing about it and just see what comes through there. But ultimately, you've got nothing to worry about. Everything is just fine. Like the biggest battle for you right now is keeping your mind in check and not letting it make you believe that you're off track. It kind of reminds me of, you know, when you have like anxiety while flying, or people that are afraid of flying, you know, any small bump is gonna scare the shit out of you because you are afraid of crashing naturally. But, you know, things like turbulence, things being kind of bumpy, like are often just normal parts of air travel. And for someone who knows and understands that, it's really not going to be a big deal. But for someone who's really afraid and maybe doesn't know a whole lot about air travel, like, yeah, it's going to be freaking scary. And so I think that Spirit is trying to remind you that the more you follow the flow of this and the deeper you are into this journey, the less like jarring it'll be when something feels bumpy or when something feels uncertain or when you're experiencing turbulence, because you'll know that this is just part of the ride. But it's natural and normal to be afraid, to be uncertain, and to, you know, not trust or feel like you're losing faith, because, you know, we're kind of conditioned to do that in this world. And unless you have good people in your life that empower you and give you good guidance and awareness, you know, it's just very easy to take on, you know, less than helpful belief systems. So don't let your mind get in the way of your intuition, because your intuition knows the truth, and it's damn powerful. So let's go ahead now. I guess what you really need to know is that you're killing it, and you're going to continue to kill it. There's nowhere to go but up. And even if you strayed from your path. You're still going where you need to go. It's just you'll be redirected. It's like your soul's navigation system will know, oh, okay, we took a wrong turn there, let's recalibrate, and we might have to take a detour, or we might have to go out of our way, but we'll get back there. And just know that even those detours, like, they serve, and you never know what magic could lie within there. But just know that your cosmic wisdom and the wisdom that the earth has for you, they're deeply interconnected and they're not separate. And whichever side of the fence you feel you lean more on, whether you feel more cosmic or you feel more earthly, the opposite side is the side that you're being encouraged to explore more. But if you find that you have a healthy balance of both, then just follow the flow of that. But ultimately what you need to know is that you're headed towards your soul's destiny, and you don't need to worry about a thing. Like, you're exactly where you need to be. You're going exactly where you need to go. And any answers you need, they will come when you need them. And if you miss them, the universe will call again and call again and call again and call again. And you cannot block the universe's number. So just know that even if you miss 50,000,001 signs that are trying to give you the answer, the universe is going to send you 50,000,002 until you get what you need to see and until you have the answers that you need to know. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and finish. Well, no, we have 2 more things to do. So we're going to get guidance, and then we're going to finish off with a quote. But I want to start, I think the first question I'm going to ask is, what practical guidance could be useful for you right now? So Spirit, when it comes to pile 1 following their journey, what guidance do you have on a practical level that could help them on their path, and that would kind of put their conscious mind at ease? We have the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so this is all about nurturing yourself and mothering yourself. So number 1, if you do have children of any kind, I do think that you are being encouraged to obviously consider them which I have a hard time believing that any parent is not considering their children when they make a decision. I would imagine that it's very challenging to not consider them when you're making a decision. But I think that you're really being encouraged to include yourself in nurturing and in restoration. And that doesn't matter whether you're a parent or not. You know, everybody needs to be nurtured, and everybody needs to feel loved, and everybody needs to feel held and supported. You know, I love this representation of this Queen of Pentacles, because it's like the tree itself protects the treasure. And I feel like this is encouragement to keep your heart warm and do what you need to do to make yourself feel empowered, nurtured, comforted. Anything that makes you feel like you're just being replenished, nourished, and restored, and remembering that things are okay. With this Queen of Pentacles here, if there's a motherly figure in your life that you trust, they may be a good person to talk to. Maybe not about everything, but maybe even just about practical guidance things like, hey mom, like how do I set up a 401k or something like that. Like maybe if you have like practical details of your dream that you don't necessarily know how to make them happen, this Queen of Pentacles could be guiding you towards like a maternal figure that may have wisdom or awareness. But on a more practical level, you really are just being encouraged to parent yourself, and more specifically mother yourself, in a way where you're paying attention to when you're overwhelmed, when you need a break, when you can push yourself, when it's okay to, you know, throw caution to the wind, and when maybe you do need to be a little bit more cautious. I think that this is all about compassionate practicality, where when you don't have answers, you don't take that as a sign that you're doing something wrong, but rather just that there are certain things that need to unfold. And I feel like the more you just work on keeping your heart warm and keeping what matters to you safe and protected and loved, and nourishing the parts of you that need to be supported in order to allow this journey to unfold, the less time you will spend worrying, because you'll be taking the action necessary to anticipate any pitfalls or shortcomings or, you know, potential challenges up the road. And I also would say as well that this Queen of Pentacles could be guiding you to take any action towards things you may anticipate as being challenges and just prepare for them. You know, you can't control if a flight is canceled. You can't control if a flight is delayed, but you can be prepared in case that happens. You can be prepared for what is to come. So whatever you do know and whatever you do have awareness about, focus your practical efforts there and surrender the need to know the unknown, and because it will come when it needs to. But what is something that pile 1 doesn't see that you would like them to know is there, even though they may not see it? We have the High Priestess. So this is all about the fact that you are more than, and I love that it's coming out right underneath the owl. What you can't see is the fact that your intuition is on point, and that what you can't see is that you're exactly where you need to be. And what you can't see is that the secrets that are being withheld from you, discovering them are initiations. And even the journey to reaching those answers, you know, those are initiations within themselves. And the biggest thing you can't see is confirmation of your intuition right now, except hopefully watching this video is confirming it's confirmation. But I think what you may not be seeing is that you are way more on point than you realize, and way more accurate than you realize. And, you know, the surface of things can be deceiving. And so I really, really, really would encourage you to feel into things and listen to your intuition about things, because people lie, words lie, but energy doesn't lie. And what you can't see is that the energy that you feel that is propelling you towards your destiny, that will not let you give up on yourself or give up on your dreams, like that energy is in you and all around you, and it's leading you and guiding you. It is the ship guiding you, you know, where you need to go. And you can trust it. It's more powerful than you realize, and it's more accurate than you realize. You know, the frustrating thing is sometimes we don't have confirmation for what's happening intuitively, and that's why we just have to have faith and trust, because the confirmation comes from having that faith. And from it's like you know, if you were growing a plant, you know, if you don't believe the plant will grow and you never plant the seed, or if you plant the seed and then worry that it's never going to grow, so you don't water it or take care of it, yeah, it's not going to grow. But if you trust in that if you do everything that you can to take care of this plant, that it will grow as it's meant to, you know, you will see the result of your efforts with that consistent action. Does that make sense? But finally, I just want to see, Spirit, is there any answers that you can give pile 1 right now that they've been seeking, or any guidance that could lead them in the right? Whoa, okay, well, we have a lot. Okay, let's just see here. We have the World, Temperance, the 6 of Cups, and the Devil. So I think the biggest thing is they're not giving you objective answers. They're giving you hints of where to look. Out in nature in general, you will find signs and answers. In studying higher knowledge, whether that is spiritual knowledge, you know, whether that is whatever expands your consciousness and expands your awareness, any knowledge that requires you to go outside of your comfort zone or explore a different maybe culture, or if it requires you to travel, if you've been feeling called to travel, that could be a sign that there's answers for you there. This is also a sign of patience, though, and trusting in what's flowing and trusting in the journey. Archangel Michael could also be watching over and overseeing your journey. But I also think that whatever is holding you back is related to inner child healing and attachments that you have that stem from childhood. Because from what I'm seeing here with the 6 of Cups, it's your inner child that knows exactly where you need to go and what you need to do. And the thing is that, you know, that easily gets lost. And you're not who you were as a child, and you're not meant to be exactly who you were as a child. You're meant to be a well-rounded human being that is both this cosmic magic and also this real world experience. And it's bridging those two that is going to make you an unstoppable force in following your dreams. And so I feel like what this Devil card is all about is making you aware of what attachments are holding you back from trusting and from unleashing more of yourself in the world, from taking more risks, because there's a lot here about expansion and recognizing that, you know, you are so much more than your earthly identities, and that like you are a citizen of this planet, and that every corner of this earth has wisdom for you. So if you feel called to travel, if you feel called to explore different belief systems, learn different languages, whatever it may be, anything that gets you outside of your normal way of thinking, I think is going to be very helpful for you in terms of finding answers. But just know, also, people that you have soul connections to, that you already know, they could have answers for you as well, and they may not even realize it. So even just like interacting with them or communicating with them, they could say something that you need to hear. Or if you have children, they could also, like, spending time with them and exploring the world through their eyes could also help give you answers that maybe you haven't seen. And that is true. Like, one cool thing about kids is that like they just have like they could be shoving a crayon up their nose 1 second and then saying like the wisest thing the next second. Like, kids are so cool. So pay attention to that, and also do things that take you back to the age you were when you were most inspired and excited about the world, if that existed. Whatever made you feel the most alive. Maybe listen to the music that you loved back then, or consume the media that you were inspired by back then. Whatever it may be, pay attention to that. But there are answers for you everywhere. The most important thing is that you're patient and not allow the lack of answers or the fear or the uncertainty to hold you back and make you worried that you're doing something wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this video off with some positive quotations. I found this book laying around, so I'm just gonna close my eyes and see like what quote could be useful for you. If it sucks, I will do another one, but for the record, my eyes are closed. Spirit, what is a positive quote that could be useful for pile one? The work praises the man, and it is an Irish proverb. And all of this is about hard work. So originality in the feeling of one's own dignity are achieved only through work and struggle. There is a kind of victory in good work, no matter how humble, and honest labor bears a lovely face. And don't be afraid of hard work. I think these are all great. If a man is called, what did Martin Luther King say? If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. That's beautiful. Okay, I think that one's my favorite. And I think that's so true. Like, everybody has different purposes here, and I think that a lot of what these cards are talking about is, or cards, what these quotes are talking about work, and, you know, the importance of putting in the work that you know needs to be done, even though you may not know what the result is going to be or whether it's going to be worth it. It is going to be worth it. No matter what, it's going to be worth it. But you have a job to do. You have a purpose here, and whether you know exactly what it is or you're being led towards it, just know that, you know, the more work you put in, the less time you will have to worry that you're doing something wrong, and the less opportunities your brain will have to poke holes in your dreams and poke holes in your capabilities of being able to make them happen. So if you need help in terms of making that happen, or need help in terms of, you know, being able to get the work done that you need to, you know, do what you need to do to get the support, resources, and nourishment that you need. But no matter what, even if you don't know what those are, I think the universe is going to continue to put those things on your path and help get you where you need to go. So pile one, I'm so excited for you, and I hope you're excited too. If you want to talk about what your dream is or what you're working towards, I would love to hear it. If you want to keep it safe, that's totally fine too, but I just pray that whatever it is, it unfolds in the perfect time, in the perfect way. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That is one of the simplest and easiest ways to support me and show appreciation for my channel, so thank you to everyone who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can also check out my candles. Be sure to use code ACE10 for 10% off. You can check out readings with extendeds in them. You can check out my merch, and you can check out my Instagram. But that's all I have for you guys, so thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Dalmatian Jasper Palm Stone and this oracle card, this is going to be your reading on what you need to know right now. So these 3 oracle cards are going to represent the topic that we're going to be talking about. So if it resonates and you're like, yep, I need to know something about this, then this is the reading for you. And if it does not, I would try a different pile, and you can always check out the intro for a full breakdown of the reading. So let's see what your reading is going to be about. So to start, we have the Storm. We have Bat. And we have Ash. Okay. Well, this is definitely very clear. And one of the cool things about card decks in general is just like how they can be completely different and yet correlate. If this reading is for you, this topic is about a hard ending that you've already gone through. I don't want you to feel fear about this. If you haven't gone through a hard ending, I think that is probably a sign that this isn't your reading. If this reading is for you, you're definitely in the process of trying to move forward after a very hard loss, whether that be the loss of a loved one, the loss of a business, the loss of a relationship, the loss of anything really that was important to you. It seems like whatever it was outside of your control. But the Storm card also really reminds me of the Tower. And it seems like whatever ending did occur, not only was it out of your control, but it also revealed to you that something either wasn't stable or something wasn't meant to last. Or, well, I mean, for some of you, like, for example, if it was the loss of a loved one, like I would say, you know, it's not that like they were just deliberately taken from you. It's just one of the hard aspects of life that, you know, our time here is an infinite. But if it was an ending that wasn't literal, I mean, an ending doesn't have to be of life for an ending to still be worthy of grieving. So you could be grieving the loss of a friendship, the loss of a relationship, the loss of a lifestyle, the loss of something that really mattered to you. And if it really mattered to you, but it wasn't like, let me put it this way, if what you lost revealed itself to be something that either wasn't sustaining you, or something that was harmful to you, or something that just couldn't stay in your life and allow you to continue forward on your path, then it seems like the universe took it out of your way. And in fact, it may be as well that after this loss, you realized how much this situation or this person or this experience was really taking a toll on you, or draining you, or taking you away from yourself and your truth. What I'm seeing here is very heavy rebirth energy, but I wouldn't be shocked if you're struggling with the complexities of loss and grief and letting go and moving forward. You know, this actually like hits really hard for me right now, because I lost one of my guinea pigs a couple days ago, and you know, it's really fucking sad and like I'm really sad about it. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, even though you're sad, life still keeps moving forward. And you know, it doesn't matter whether it's a tiny animal or a way of life. Grief is the sign that love was present. And grief often coexists with the energies that we need to move forward. You know, healing from grief isn't linear, and I'm really sorry for whatever loss that you've been through, and I'm sorry, you know, just that you have to deal with that pain. And don't worry about me. I'm okay. Like, the beautiful thing about doing what I do is that, you know, death is just an ending of one way of relating. And the beautiful thing about spirit work is that you realize the soul is infinite, and even though we may not be able to inhabit a body forever, it doesn't mean our spirit isn't eternal. And I definitely feel like in your case, you know, you're going through something very similar to me, which is just the complexity of, you know, moving forward whilst also honoring your feelings and dealing with the shift and the change. And it can be really hard when it's really sudden, or when it comes out of nowhere, or, you know, when it's a situation where nothing died physically, but you lost something that was special to you that still exists, but it just can't be part of your life anymore. And, you know, I think that there's even an extra pain that's carried with that, because there is no finiteness to it. Or I guess what I'm saying is that, you know, when there's a physical passing, there's a finite ending. But when it's an ending of, say, a relationship or a way of living, it's still out there, it still exists, it's still a potential. But when you know it's not good for you, or when the universe takes it out of your life for a reason, that can be really hard. And to know that it's there, but you can't have it, or you did have it and it didn't serve you, like, that is still hard, and it still hurts. And, you know, we can love things that aren't good for us, and we can want things that ultimately take us from our path, and our limited human perspective can really make it challenging sometimes to remember that things will get better, or remember that you know, there is more. And I would say, especially for those of you who are experiencing more so a metaphorical loss, which I guess a loss can be both metaphorical and physical, but speaking strictly to the metaphorical loss, I definitely think that it could be harder to let go of certain aspects of this because of the what ifs, or the potentials, or the knowingness that that person or that way of living is still out there, or still available in some way. For some of you, you could have lost a home, or just lost some material possession that was very important to you. No matter what, it seems like there was a chaotic situation outside of your control that caused you to lose something that was very important to you. And for some of you, there is no reason for it other than you know, endings are a part of life, and we all have our time. But for others, there could have been a more specific ending that was facilitated on the universe's part to help you let go of something that was not serving you, or that was holding you back from fulfilling your path and your destiny. And so I definitely think that this is a theme of release, themes of letting go, learning how to move forward. And so if you're dealing with all those, then I would say this is the message for you. And I do just once again want to say how sorry I am that this message resonates in whatever form it is. Endings are sad and endings are hard, and you know, grief is not exclusive to physical passings, and your grief is valid, and all grief is the sign that love was present. And in a way, it's kind of beautiful, you know, even though grief is hard and it hurts really badly. I think grief is also something that honors what was loved. And if we didn't grieve what was lost, I don't think we would do justice to how important it was to us. So, okay. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into your tarot and see what you need to know about this. And forgive me if I get a little bit emotional. promise I'm fine. I'm okay. Well, I'm not okay, but I'm okay. You know what I mean? You know exactly what I mean. But this is a reality. Sometimes as a reader, you resonate with the message too, and it's like, you can't always. Can't always be entirely detached, which I guess, to be fair, I'm never really detached from you guys. I'm always pretty biased for you guys, so I don't know. But thank you for being here, and let's just go ahead and see what you need to know about this process of moving forward and of letting go, and about your situation. So, Spirit, what does pile 2 need to know about this energy of moving forward, of release, of letting go? We have the 3 of Pentacles. What else? We have the Knight of Cups. What else? We have the Ace of Wands. Finally, we have the 2 of Cups and the Page of Swords. Might get a clarifier for that. Can you clarify this, Spirit? Ooh, okay. Queen of Cups. All right, yeah. Back of the deck is 5 of Pentacles, loss. Wow, okay. So bear with me, pile 2, because there are for sure different messages. And to my relief, I think for many of you, this loss is more metaphorical than literal. And for those of you where this loss is literal, I think I'm going to start with your messages, because they are more straight and to the point and have a lot to do with you just being honest about what you're going through and what you're dealing with, and not being afraid to lean on other people. A lot of what you need to know about this situation is really encouraging you to feel into this experience and not shy away from whatever comes up. You know, it is very uncomfortable to feel feelings like grief and sadness and loss, but they're an essential part of life, and they are a fuel for rebirth, and they're a necessary stage in the process of rebirth. And I feel like in the case of a physical loss, I definitely think you're being encouraged to lean on the people that you love most and not be afraid to share your heart and share your pain. You know, you're not a burden on other people, and for some of you, you might carry your pain so well, people have no idea that you're even dealing with it. And I think in your case especially, there's this real emphasis on remembering that you still deserve to feel joy, and that feelings are complex, and that we can feel lots of different feelings all at once. And it's okay to just allow space for everything. You know, sometimes we can grieve the loss of something and then also be relieved, you know. For example, if you're grieving the loss of a relationship or a friendship that you knew wasn't good for you, but you still love the person, like, you know, it's kind of a complex thing where it's sad to see them go, but, you know, you have to do what's right for you. And I feel like in your case, there's a lot here about emotion and energy and passion and fire and fuel. And these energies are ones that are not necessarily always available to us, especially when we're in a darker place. But the healing process that you're going through right now is helping you move into a lighter phase. And actually, whatever process you're going through right now, it's not only going to aid your creativity, But let's say, for example, you know, if you lost someone that was special to you, you're no less connected to their spirit. And in fact, even though their physical presence, I'm sure, is dearly missed and you would do anything to have that back, they're still with you spiritually. And in fact, I think that they will not only provide spiritual protection, but spiritual empowerment and creative empowerment, and be a fuel for you and a source of inspiration for you to remember why it's important to follow your dreams, why it's important to go after what you want to do in life. And I feel like there is this really big call here to not let go of what you know to be true about the lighter side of life. That there is love everywhere that you look, that there are fresh and new opportunities everywhere all the time, that the creative process is one that is regenerative and never ending. Let me make sure. Okay, good. I was like, poor pile one, they didn't get to see all their cards because I didn't check to make sure they were all in the camera. But there is a strong emphasis on you not internalizing all this pain. And if you can, doing your best to be more open and honest about where you're at. That doesn't mean you have to give specifics or details. But like, say for example, if you're going through a really hard time and it's affecting your work, or it's affecting your ability to show up for the people you care about, you know, being upfront with them and honest, and instead of saying, hey, sorry, things have been crazy, you know, instead being transparent, be like, hey, I'm sorry, like, I haven't been upfront with you, like, I'm just going through a lot right now and I'm having a hard time, and this is how I deal with it. You know, I think also, you know, if it's like a work thing, being upfront and honest, you know, with your boss or with your professors, or, you know, whoever facilitates whatever you do, you know, if you have people that you work with, and just being upfront with them and saying, hey, I'm not operating at 100% right now, and I still want to be a team player, I still want to do my best, but I just want you to know I'm going through this thing, and if my work struggles, I'm really sorry. I'm doing my best to get through it, and hopefully, you know, it will improve, but please let me know if there's things that I can do to help, or things that I can do to, you know, improve this, whatever it may be. I think that communication is actually really highly stressed here, which is interesting, because there's not a lot of swords energy, but I think, you know, there is a difference between, like, there are different types of communication, and you can communicate with someone in a very just like matter of fact, surface level way, or you can communicate in a heartfelt, open and honest way. And, you know, I will even say, as someone who doesn't technically work for anyone, but works, I guess, for you guys, you know, when I am open and honest about the things that I'm going through, the response and support from you guys is more meaningful than you'll ever understand, and so positive and understanding and loving and supportive. And I promise you that most people are the same way. You know, there are stinkers out there that can't hold space for other people's pain, but, you know, more often than not, people are kind, empathetic, and want to be accommodating and want to be there, but they can't if they don't even know that something's wrong. You know, if, like, let's say for example, you're going through a hard time and you retreat from all the people that you care about, you know, they're only human. So it's quite possible that some of them could think like, oh, did I do something wrong? Or maybe even start to fear that you're mad at them or something like that. And obviously that's not your responsibility. You don't have to, you know, take care of their feelings or take care of what they take personally, but you can communicate to them what's actually going on, so you leave less room for them to worry about things like that. And so I really think you're being encouraged to remember that this phase of life, while very necessary, is not permanent. It is transient, just like the fun, lighthearted aspects of life. You know, life is like a wheel and it's cyclical. And in your case, I definitely think you're being given permission to indulge in what makes your heart feel good and what makes you feel alive. And if what you lost was a relationship, I definitely feel like you're being encouraged not to belittle or trash the entire experience itself, especially if, you know, there were positive experiences or there were good things that happened as a result. I definitely feel like one thing that you need to know is that there either are already or there will be people around you that not only love you but want to be there for you, that want to support you and don't want you to go through this alone. And you know, that's the thing, like, there's really nothing you can do about feelings like grief or sadness or loss. Like, they're just feelings you have to move through, and because if you suppress them, they're just gonna wreak more havoc than you would if you move through them. And sometimes the best thing that we can have happen is just have someone sit with us through these hard feelings and these hard challenges, you know? Like, life doesn't stop for us, but there are people who love you enough to stop and sit with you and hold space with you while you deal with what you're going through. I feel this heavy encouragement to not isolate yourself and to not minimize your pain or what you're going through, or minimize, you know, the challenges that you're dealing with. In fact, I think maybe belittling them is part of what's making it harder to let go of them, because you're invalidating the intensity of what you're experiencing. And if, for example, if you have a partner that you love very much, but you've been pretty removed from them, or you've been kind of distant, you know, maybe not being afraid to speak up and saying, hey, like, I'm sorry I haven't been as present. Like, I'm going through XYZ. I'm dealing with this. But more than anything, there's this real encouragement to not give up on the things that light you up, that bring you joy, and that remind you that magic is all around you, that positive, beautiful experiences are all around you. And as long as you're here, life is happening for you. And there is this also encouragement, especially if what you lost was like a relationship or something like that. There's real encouragement not to let the pain of that loss stop you from being open to something new in the future. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be like ready to open your arms to someone new tomorrow. But what it does mean is that you don't tell yourself stories about what romantic relationships mean to you, or what friendships mean to you, or what people can or can't do for you. Because with this Page of Swords and this Two of Cups, I do feel like for some of you, you may have this this inclination right now, because of like the pain that you're in, to either invalidate the depth of the relationship that you were in, or invalidate the love that you felt for this person, or even invalidate the existence of deep, mutual, meaningful relationships, whether romantic or platonic. And I think that you're really being encouraged to remember that just because you haven't had that experience yet doesn't mean it's not possible. And maybe you have had that experience and you know how painful it is to lose it. But once again, I go back to grief is a sign that love was present. And that's life, you know? It makes me think of the quote, it's better to have loved than lost than to never have loved at all. And sometimes I go back and forth with that, because sometimes I'm like, yeah, you know what, man? I would rather just like not feel anything and go back to being an apathetic void. But dude, life sucks when you're an apathetic void. I know, I lived it for a long time. It's not worth it. And the pain that comes from opening yourself up to love is also opening yourself up to the reality that nothing in this life is forever. And that, however, that the physicality part is not forever. The soul bond, absolutely forever. And everything is still connected. It doesn't ever truly die. It just changes forms, right? And for some of you, I feel like this death could be about a way of living or a lifestyle. And in that case, I definitely think you're being encouraged to not look at the changes that you have to make as something that you begrudgingly have to do, but rather, how can I make these changes something how can I make these changes in a way that is not only sustainable, but makes me actually want to follow through with these changes? Because like, let's say, for example, you know, part of what you're grieving is like a way of life. And maybe you really liked living life that way, but you know you can't grow if you continue to do so. So when finding new pathways, maybe you create ways to make the changes you have to make more enjoyable, or balance them out with something that you still enjoy. There is this energy of not feeling like you need to go back to the drawing board and remove everything, but rather just tweak what exists, continue to surrender and release what you know doesn't serve, and ask yourself, you know, what you may be unnecessarily cutting out because of like you may be punishing yourself from whatever this storm energy was. Like whatever you may be blaming yourself for this loss, or blaming yourself for whatever happened. And I feel like you're really being encouraged not to look at things that way, and to remember that our perspective is narrow and limited. And in your case, I think as well, you're being encouraged not to, especially if this loss, if there's pain related to this loss, to not fall into petty patterns of behavior. I mean, listen, you do what you want to do. You are free to be as petty as you'd like. But I don't think that taking that action is true to your heart. And I also don't think that it will make you feel any better. If anything, it'll probably you'll either be indifferent to it, maybe get a small sense of satisfaction that really doesn't scratch any itch, or you just feel worse because you resorted to a way of being that maybe doesn't align with you, or maybe you realize after doing it that it wasn't worth it. When we are in these hard phases of life, you know, one of the most beautiful things that can happen is we reawaken to things that we forgot about, parts of life that maybe we didn't appreciate before, parts of the human experience that maybe we didn't recognize as valuable. We look at the world through a whole new set of eyes and through a whole new lens of experience. And while there can be complicated emotions with that, they all play a role, and your emotions are important in this process. Your healing process is heavily dependent on you not suppressing what you're experiencing and invalidating it by going like full-blown nihilistic Gen Z and just memeing the hell out of everything to the point where nothing has meaning or seriousness anymore. And I say that with peace and love as a Gen Zer who is very guilty of just being that way. Like even I'm having to recognize like I need to let go of like my meme brain, not entirely, but enough to where I can allow certain things to be sacred. Because I don't know if anyone else in Gen Z agrees with me, but there is, or maybe outside of Gen Z if you've observed this, but like there is this tendency to just be so emotionally detached, not from a place of like arrogance, I don't think, but from a place of just like extreme pain that you just joke about everything, or stop being open to life in a newer, curious way. And you don't have to be Gen Z to be that way, but I've noticed that there is this huge trend with Gen Z, like they make incredible memes. I guess because I'm Gen Z, but make incredible memes, but also like nothing is sacred right now. And I think in your case, there's a shifting of balance in your life, and a shifting of priorities, and a shifting of what's important, and that's meant to happen. More than anything, like I'm hearing the song Lean On Me, when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on. And that just like kind of makes me cry, because like I hope you're leaning on me right now, or on my higher self, and I hope you feel held and safe, because that's all I ever want you to feel. And I wish I could just give you the biggest hug and let you know that everything is going to be okay. And no matter how big or small this loss is, your pain is valid. And you know, you don't have to let anyone invalidate that. I also want to give a message that if this loss does have to do with another person, like a relationship with them, or like whatever type of relationship with them, if they are saying things that are like, maybe you're not being petty, but maybe they are, you know, if you have heard or seen them say things that are really hurtful or mean or invalidating or diminish the real power of what you both shared, just know that that's not from their heart and that they're also in pain too. And if they are the reason why this, like for like a specific example I'm getting is for some of you, you know, if you lost a relationship because you discovered they were, you know, cheating or, you know, lying to you, or if they betrayed you in some way, the reason why they're doing this is because not only did they lose something special to them, but it's also their doing. And the pain of the shame compounded with the pain of the loss has their ego working overtime, I'm not gonna lie. And that may be very painful for you to see or hear about. And I just want you to know that you don't have to listen to that. And I would encourage you, like, if there are still ways for you to see stuff like that, cut it out of your life, because you don't need to see it. And the reality is if you need to interact with this person in the future, the universe will make that happen, or it will happen and unfold the way it is meant to, but it's clearly not meant to happen in this moment, because your person, if it is a person, you know, they have their own ish they need to work through, and it's not your job to be there for them. And, you know, I think that they could definitely be using you as a scapegoat to blame their behavior on, which if you are in the camp of the example that I'm using, whoever did this to you is so lucky. I don't know where they live, because I would 100% light a bag of dog shit on fire on their doorstep and ding dong ditch. Go full Billy Madison on them. But I mean, I would 100% do that in Minecraft, allegedly. But just know that it's not the truth. And if part of the pain that's making it hard to let go is the uncertainty of, like, did they really not feel anything for me? Did they really not value me? No, that's not the truth. They just didn't have the wisdom and the ability to hold you and hold this relationship with you with the sacredness that it deserved. And rather than sit with the truth in an honest way, their ego is overcompensating for all the pain that they're feeling, and they're trying to protect themselves from not only the shameful reality of messing something up that mattered to them, but on top of it, you know, the pain of knowing that they're the reason why they feel these feelings of loss. And there could also be shame in recognizing that they took something for granted. So just be aware of all those things. And I think that whatever you did lose, like, it was meaningful, and you do deserve to grieve it. And you shouldn't let anyone convince you otherwise or invalidate your pain. You know, anyone who, like, for example, you know, a lot of people who haven't had pets oftentimes can't understand why someone would be so sad over that loss. And it's because they don't understand what it is like to love, like, a sweet creature so much, and to have, like, you know, that special bond. And it's very easy when you're not in the situation to be like, oh, well, who cares? It's just an animal. And it's like, and you are just delusional because you are not seeing the preciousness of life all around you. And I think that in your case, you do see the preciousness of life. And I think one thing that you need to know is that preciousness has not gone anywhere. But the process of losing something, whatever it is hard. But that is a sacred part of life, and it is part of the human experience. And I think more than anything, if your loss is related to a romantic relationship or something like that, I definitely think Spirit is encouraging you to not only feel those experiences, but not shy away from how feeling those experiences fuel you into becoming a stronger version of yourself, or a more alive version of yourself. And and I think too, when we lose someone physically, it can really inspire us and wake us up to the fact that life isn't forever. And if there's something that you need to do or feel you need to do to honor someone, please do it. It might be a very healing experience for you, and who knows, how empowering that could be. I also think that if you're worried, like for example, for some of you, if the relationship example resonates, like what if I never find love again? Or if you even for a minute listen to comments like sexist comments about men or women, about their, or non-binary people, about anyone, about their lovability, about their deservability, about their value, you take that drivel and you throw it in the trash, because it's not true. All right? It's very obvious that you're a loving, deep person, and people that espouse advice that is very egoic and surface level and based on winning or playing the game or whatever the case, those people aren't looking for love. They're looking for something less powerful that they may deem as love, but it's ultimately rooted in ego. And I think that in your case, it could really be detrimental to your trust in yourself and faith in the universe if you take some of those belief systems to heart. So be very careful about what you're listening to. Like an excellent example would be like manosphere podcasts, about like a woman's desirability or what men want. With peace and love, like those men don't know what men want or what women want. They feel the need to express to force their beliefs on other people because they are so set on believing that they're right. But let's be real, they're not. There are so many people out there who are kind and who are loving and who do and will see you for so much more than what you look like on the outside or what you do or where you come from. Those can be aspects of love and aspects of attraction, but ultimately love is so much deeper than that. And it's something you really can't force, and it's something that's always out there. And love has no age limit. It has no limits. Love is boundless. And that's something that those Manosphere podcasts and really any other shitty dating advice program realizes, because it's all about strategy and it's rooted in self. And I think one of the messages that you are meant to know right now is that your grief is not just yours. Like, the universe grieves with you. And if you knew, like, I think sometimes we picture, like, this is actually really moving. Like, sometimes we picture, spirits and stuff kind of being on their high horse and watching from a detached place. Well, not on their high horse, but, being detached and kind of watching. But that's just not true. Spirit cries with us. Spirit laughs with us. Spirit's sad when we're sad. And Spirit knows, like, you deserve to be held. You deserve to be nourished. You deserve comfort. You deserve care. And if what you lost didn't bring you those things, the universe loves you enough to hold you through the experience of that loss, so it can guide you to something much more beautiful and much more aligned with you. No matter what, don't ever think for a second that whatever you're letting go of or what you lost is something to be ashamed of, is something that's your fault, even if you played a role in it. Things happen. And for a lot of you, where this loss wasn't literal and it was more metaphorical, I feel like you're really being encouraged to remember that this is a necessary part of the cycle. And as you move through it, you will regain your access to things like passion, motivation, zest for life, creativity, and just the powerful positive emotions that are the polarity of the powerful, I don't even want to call them negative emotions, but challenging emotions. You know, they all serve and they all tell us something. But in your case, I really think you're being encouraged to work with those who care about you and be honest. And if you need to seek help or seek resources or support, definitely do so. If you are at an American university, especially a public one, I do believe you should be able to get resources, like mental health counseling and resources like that, for free. I know they're always not the best, but I mean, what can you do? I would also say, no matter what, like if you're in school in general, please talk to, you know, like a guidance counselor, or I can't tell you, like when I was in school, how many adults, like professors, administrators, and just people that I had that were more than willing to be there for me and support me. And I will say that those resources were more available when I went to a big school and a small school, and they were more available at the small school. So it may be harder to access those resources if you're at a big school, but it's not impossible, and you certainly should still try. And you know, one of the perks of being at a big school is that there's many people there, and I guarantee you there are people that you pass by every day, whether you go to school or whatever you do in life, that are going through the same experiences as you, and you have no idea, because it's not really very normal to just sit down with someone and be like, hey Ted, what are you grieving about? Like, you know, it's not the easiest thing, but you're so not alone. And you know what? I'm glad this reading came through, because, you know, I think it can be powerful to know that even the person delivering this, like, I feel you. Like, I'm with you in this. You're not alone. And we'll all be okay. And that's the beautiful thing about life, is it is regenerative. And what dies comes back to life in a new way. It always does. And you're just really being encouraged to not belittle your experiences, belittle your emotions, belittle your truth. Make it loud, magnify it, like be honest about your pain, be honest about your grief, and live it, experience it. I think a lot of us are afraid to just feel things, you know, because while feeling things are painful, it can also be cathartic, and it's something that makes you alive. And the more you embrace this experience, as hard as it is, the easier it will be for you to embrace the goodness that is coming your way, the beautiful things that are coming your way, and the beautiful truth that love is behind all things, the hard things and the beautiful things. And it's hard for our tiny human brains to conceptualize, like, you know, the universe on a grand scale. I mean, it's impossible, but the evidence of love, the evidence of the universe's support for us, the evidence of why life is worth it is all around us. You know, you see it in a dog that's happy to see its owner. You see it in, you know, a young couple in love for the first time. You see it in, you know, a professor reaching, you know, a tenured position, or like life is everywhere all the time. People's dreams are coming true, and, you know, people are living and loving and losing, and everything is happening everywhere all at once, and it's a lot. And right now you're in a spot that is less fun, but it's very essential. And the more you embrace this experience, not from a place of like, yeah, I'm grieving, this is awesome, but rather just, I am grieving, and this is sad, and this is hard. That truth and acknowledging that is powerful. And acknowledging when you're not okay, acknowledging when you need support, and asking for it and seeking it, and you will realize there are people that love you so much. I love you, and I hope that you know that you are so worthy of support, and that your pain is not a burden. You are not a burden. Your experience is not a burden. You are here for a reason, and your pain matters. Your sadness matters, and what you're going through matters, and you matter. And the people that are meant to be in your life, the people that nourish and support you, they will sit with you through this. And it won't be a huge ask. It won't be a burden to them. It will just be a natural progression and a natural consequence of them loving and caring about you. And I don't say consequence negatively, I say consequence positively. But don't stop believing in general. Okay, hello, Journey. Oh my God, Journey. Is it? I really hope it is Journey that sings Don't Stop Believing, because I could be embarrassing myself right now. But hold on to that feeling. Literally that song. Like, don't stop believing, hold on to that feeling. Like, whatever feeling it is, keep holding on to it, and don't stop believing in the regenerative experience of passion and of life. You know, Ace of Wands is like the antithesis of this ash card. You know, it's the fire. And, you know, what has been set on fire and what is gone is making room for even more powerful experiences and for opportunities for you to lean into love more deeply, to lean into your experience more deeply, and lean into your experience in an honest way that doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of life, but embraces it as an aspect of life, and that these harsh realities can coexist with these beautiful truths. And it all intermixes in this just weird, fucked up amalgamation of existence. But in that, what you need to know the most is that you are worthy of care and support and of whatever resources you need in order to be supported. And unfortunately, it's not always easy and accessible to make that happen. But I pray that whatever access to resources you do have, you use them. And I pray that if there are resources out there you're unaware of, that Spirit guides you to those so that you can get the support that you need. More than anything, though, the people that will truly love you will support you that way. And I do feel heavily for some of you. You're hardcore grieving the loss of someone who honestly didn't deserve to hold you in the first place. And I would love to tell that to their face. Like I said, can't be biased. I am biased. I'm biased for you guys. I shouldn't be, but I am. And it's just because I love you. And it's going to get better. And it's going to be okay. And it's okay that things aren't okay right now. But just remember that the more you share with yourself and be honest with yourself, and the more you open up about those truths from just a real open place, you will be shocked at how many people want to be there for you, that want to support you and that love you. I'm sure it will move you. But the biggest thing you need to know is that whatever lingering pain, especially if after this ending if you had an ending with someone and they are, you know, adding pettiness or drama or pain to your life and making it harder for you to grieve and let this go, it may be in your best interest to cut that off, or at least cut off your ability to see it, because it's not serving you and they're just taking their own pain out on you. But more than anything, what you need to know is that falling in love with life and feeling light again is not something that is gone forever, you know? Grief definitely changes how you view the world, and you know, when we lose something that's very special to us, we're never really who we were before. But just because we're different doesn't mean we're better or worse. It just means we've expanded and we've made room for more experience. And no matter what version of us shows up, it's still us, and it's still worthy of love. And yeah, what you need to know is that you are so loved, and you are held through this process, and that you are not alone. And if you are holding back on seeking support, or, you know, talking to people you care about, or being honest about what you're going through, I would really encourage you, like, if you work somewhere, talk to HR, let them know what's going on, and just be open with them about that. And maybe even ask if there are resources they know of that could be helpful. And if you're in school, same thing. And if not, if you have friends that are in the mental health field, asking them, you know, what are resources or support? You know, there are hotlines, there are helplines, there are so many resources out there that we don't even see sometimes. don't be afraid to look, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You're not alone in this. And I hope that part of your healing process in this cycle is coming to the awareness that you don't have to do the painful things in life alone. And in fact, you're not meant to. That's part of the reason why humans are social creatures, one of the many. But you're not alone, and you're so loved. And I hope that as you move through this process, even if these feelings of grief never entirely go away, I hope at the very least you are able to make room for the invigorating experiences of life again and embrace them as something that in reality is finite, but worthy of enjoying and embracing while it's there, because life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Life isn't always good. Life can be very hard, and life can be very tragic, but that's all part of it. And your journey, your pain, and your feelings are part of it too, and they matter so much. And anyone who doesn't honor them, or anyone who doesn't understand it, does not deserve to take up space in your story. So with that being said, I want to go ahead now and get some guidance. So the first thing I want to ask is, what I'm specifically going to do is get a message from those of you that lost someone physically, and, excuse me, I'm burping, and see if there's anything they would like you to know, any message that they have for you. And then I want to pull a message for those of you who lost a person in the physical, but not like, who lost a person, but they're still physically here. You just lost your connection to them. I want to get a message from their higher self, not their 3D self. And then I think I'm going to finish off with just some guidance to care for yourself. So if the first two questions I'm asking don't resonate for you, feel free to skip this part until you get to the third card. But yeah, so for those who lost a loved one in the physical that has passed on, Spirit, what would they like their pile 2 to know? Do they have a message to give pile 2 at this time that could be most helpful for them? Oh, yes. Okay, so for some of you, if you lost like your mom, or you lost like, you know, for like my case, my pigs are my babies. So like, even though it's not as hardcore as being a human mom, it's still motherhood, right? I feel like there is just this acknowledgement of how much they love you, and the fact that that love has not gone anywhere. And you know, the fact that the 2 of Cups has come out twice. And for some of you, if you lost like your partner, I feel like they just want you to know how magnificent and beautiful you are, and how lucky they have been to live life with you and be entwined with you. And they just want you to know how powerful you are. And you know, the Empress is all about the natural cycle of creation. And so this is a huge reminder to you that you are so abundant and fertile and full of life still, and to remember that life deserves to be lived. And even though you may not be able to hold physical space with them anymore, doesn't mean you can't hold space for them in your heart, and that you won't. And I feel like maybe they come through in apples, or apple trees could be significant, but I feel like whoever you lost physically, they want you to know just how much they love you, and that they are going to be protecting you and watching over you. And they also just want you to know that you made their time on earth very special, and you were part of what made their life so special. And they only want you to have experiences where you get to experience how you made them feel, which was seen, held, nourished, supported. And they just want you to remember who the fuck you are, which is a bad bitch, and that is gender neutral. More than anything, they just want you to know how much they love you, and that they are okay, they are safe, they are loved, and they are held, and they want you to do the same. And And they want you to know as well that it's okay to do what you need to do to heal. And it's okay if you don't have much to give, because that is part of the cycle of regeneration. You know, we have to let what isn't serving us die, or we have to move through the painful experiences that we have, at least enough to be able to make room for new energy again, you know? And that doesn't mean that the pain leaves us entirely. It may stick with you for your entire life, you know, especially if this is a family member or your spouse or partner. I mean, how can you ever replace that? It's irreplaceable. Sure, and that doesn't mean you can't ever have like beautiful relationships that emulate that, but you can and should honor the specialness and uniqueness of that relationship, and recognize that, you know, it's okay to not be able to push that down or feel like a part of you has gone as well, because, you know, that can happen with grief, and that's normal and that's understandable. But more than anything, they just want you to know how much you're loved, and that they are going to do their darndest on the other side to make sure that they're helping protect you and guide you, not only to people who will nourish and support you, but also guide those people to you as well. You are so loved, and you are never alone. And just know, when you cry, they cry. When you laugh, they laugh. And they haven't gone anywhere spiritually. They are very much still in your heart, and their spirit is very much alive. And they can't wait to watch you thrive in the future. And if it were up to them, you wouldn't grieve at all. But, you know, like I said earlier, I think grief can be a form of honoring what we loved and what is special to us. And not only does your grief have a place, but I think it will also be a powerful opportunity for you to just witness the sacred experience of pain and loss, and understand that even though it's hard, it's part of life. And rather than running from it, being brave enough to face it and live it and be in it, not only the healthiest thing you can do, but the most powerful one at that. You are so loved, and don't think that this is the end of your life or the end of your joy. Life will be different, and joy will feel different, especially if this is a physical loss. Well, and that's part of that. But that doesn't mean you won't ever regenerate. That doesn't mean you won't ever feel good again. It just means that you're doing it with a different set of experiences and awareness, because you've just lived more life. But now I want to see a message from if you lost someone who is still here physically, but like you're not in contact with them anymore, or you needed to let go of that. Let's see what their higher self would say to you, or what they want to know about, what they want you to know about this. Okay, that makes so much sense. Yeah, so their higher self is indicating to you, not gonna lie, their higher self is kind of dragging them a little bit, and it's dragging them out of love. But the fact that Roots, which is a unique card in this deck, came out in reverse, really goes to show that this person wasn't meant to be in your life forever, whether a friend or a romantic interest. And I think if you're being honest with yourself, you probably knew that deep down. You know, the body keeps track of how someone makes us feel. And in your case, I really feel like you could have felt drained after spending time with them, or you could have felt more negative emotions than positive emotions around them. You know, the relationship could have been stressful, or the relationship could have been overwhelming. But what you need to know is that them leaving your life is making room for people who are meant to hold you down. You know, the roots are the most important part of the tree. They're what, like us all, like all the trees important, but the roots are what keep the tree grounded. The roots are what keep the tree alive. You know, if a tree is uprooted, or I guess if it's chopped down, which then it wouldn't need to be uprooted, but still. Roots are a grounding force and something that holds you down. And this person didn't have your back the way that you had theirs. And their higher self is acknowledging that and saying you deserve so much more. And their higher self also wants you to know that because they love you too, they want you to have the best possible, the best relationships possible, the best experiences possible. And the human self of this person could not be a facilitator of helping make that happen. You know, they're meant to be in your life for a season, not a reason. Well, I mean, I guess a reason, but that reason wasn't meant to be for your entire life. Does that make sense? You know, and it doesn't mean that you can't honor the good times you had with them and what you shared, but as you move through this process, I definitely think, and as you meet, you know, people who are genuinely meant to be in your life, or reconnect with people that are genuinely meant to be in your life, because who knows what's going on, you will realize why this person or those people couldn't stay, because the care and love and support that you receive from these people that truly have your back, you're gonna realize, like, it's the difference between a candle and the sun. Like, the sun, that's a huge difference. I mean, period. So I want to ask now how you can care for yourself best, or any guidance on self-care during this time and just supporting yourself. So Spirit, no matter what pile 2 is going through, how can they care for themselves best and support themselves through this process of letting go and moving on? We have a High Priestess. So can you clarify the High Priestess actually? 4 of Cups. Yeah, don't hide away from your experience. Be honest with yourself about it. With this 4 of Cups, I think that there are ways that you already know you could be like doing more to support yourself that maybe you haven't been doing because you've been in a place of pain, or just been in a place of like, I don't want to, or I don't feel like I deserve it. I feel like there are resources and opportunities around you already that want to be there for you, that want to care for you, that want to support you. And maybe you know what some of those are already. But even if you don't, I think this is a really cool 4 of Cups, because if you notice, all the cups are running away from the tree. So the tree is not being watered. And I think that this is a lot about avoidance of this experience, and not avoiding it, and not avoiding the pain of it, and not avoiding what you know could make you feel better. And also, if you don't want to feel better right now, if you just want to feel bad, let yourself feel it and do what you need to do, because sometimes that can feel good. Like, it can just feel good to feel bad, in the sense that we just let ourselves feel that way instead of beating ourselves up. Well, it still doesn't feel good to feel bad, but at least we're not adding extra bad feelings on top of it because we're shaming ourselves or believing we shouldn't feel that way. With the High Priestess here as well, you're really being encouraged to seek spiritual support if you have it. So I mean, like, I guess, for example, this could be a helpful thing. Feel free to check out other readings if you want, not to plug myself, but also I think that this is a lot about your own internal experience. And I think that what it's really about is sitting with yourself, sitting with your pain, sitting with your grief, sitting with the complexity of whatever you're feeling, and making space for all of it. And even if you don't understand how you can have all these different feelings at once, just making room for them and not needing to understand it, but rather just accept it, because it is. It doesn't matter how much you intellectualize it, it's still there, it's still doing its thing. So the more you can sit in that and I don't say embrace in a way that's like, yeah, like, I feel horrible, yes, this is great, but just rather like the honest truth of, I don't feel good right now. I have lost something that means a lot to me, and I'm struggling, and it's hard. Like, even just sitting with yourself through that process is so important, because it helps you create even a safe space within yourself to be an honest witness to what you're experiencing, and not shy away from it, and not be in denial about it, you know. And it's only through doing that can you support yourself and earnestly share with the world, and earnestly open yourself up in the world in a way to seek help, and probably in the future serve others, you know. if we never experienced pain like this, how could we hold space for others? How could we be compassionate? Some of us just naturally would be, but there's some stinkers out there, and we all know that. So, you know, and those stinkers, maybe they've experienced too much of that pain and not allowed themselves to witness it, or maybe they haven't experienced it at all and they have no idea how much of a stinker they're being. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that you not take it to heart, and also that you don't take on their way of doing things, because it stinks, to be perfectly honest. More than anything, really embracing the spiritual side of life and doing things that bring you closer to your spirituality, I think could be very powerful, because if your shift is if this death is metaphorical, it's through this spiritual wisdom that maybe you can take action more aligned with the life you want to start living, or you can do the reflection necessary to start paying attention to the types of relationships you want to have and don't want to have. And if this is a literal loss, you know, doing inner work and doing spiritual work can help you reconnect to those beings, and remember that they're in your heart. And it's actually really creepy how much they know and see and feel, and they're with us. All right, even though we may not see them, they're always with us. They're always in our hearts. And I think the more that you go within, the more you'll realize that and see evidence of that. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this reading off with a positive quote. If the quote sucks, I'll pick another one, but I found this book and I thought it would just be fun to like divinate a random quote. I ended up reading a couple for pile 1, so I'll do the same for you guys. But Spirit, what positive quotes could be useful for pile 2 at this time? Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. And Helen Keller said that. The common idea that success spoils people by making them vain, egotistic, and self-complacent is erroneous. On the contrary, it makes them, for the most part, humble, tolerant, and kind. Failure makes people cruel and bitter. I think for some of you, that's a specific message if you lost someone who didn't treat you right. Pay attention to that. But I'm just gonna hold this up so that if there are any ones you want to read, you can have them. But wow, hour long. We burned the midnight oil, didn't we? But it was worth every moment. So those are your quotes. But pile 2, I am going to leave your reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for sticking through this with me, and for letting me hold space with you, and you know, for just existing, and for showing up and living your life, and not giving in to everything around us all the time that is telling us to just give up and be nihilistic. You are so special and you matter so much. It feels weird to do my outro, so I just want to say before that, I love you very much. And I hope you heal in the perfect time, in the perfect way, and I'm sending you so much love. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. Thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background, because that's one of the simplest and easiest ways to show support and appreciation for my channel. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, you can check out my candles, be sure to use code ISO10 for 10% off. You can also check out my Instagram or any other videos, especially ones with extendeds. But that's all I have for you guys, so thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope that this message resonated and gave you everything that you needed to hear. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 3. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Rhodochrosite palm stone, and this oracle card, then this is going to be a reading on what you need to know right now. So if what I'm talking about resonates with something you need to know about in your life, then you found the right reading. If what I'm talking about you don't need to know about, then this is not yours. Feel free to check out the intro for the full breakdown of the reading. But you guys got extra cards, so let's go ahead and see what you need to know about. Okay, so to start, we have the Castle in reverse. We have the Elk. And I promise I'm gonna move down so I'm not like breathing down your neck. I'm like really close to the mic right now, but I just wanna make sure the cards are in the frame. We have the Otter. We have Silver. And we have Smoke in reverse. Okay, cool. So, interesting energies. And I understand why there's extra cards now, because I feel like for a lot of you, what you need to know about relates to a situation with another person, probably someone that you really care about. And the interesting thing is that for many of you, you could be the Elk, and for many others, you could be the Otter. But I will also leave open the possibility that this is all you in your energy, and that the Elk and the Otter are just expressing different facets of your personality. So I get the vibe for a lot of you, though, that this is more so about a relationship with someone else. Doesn't have to be a romantic one, of course, but just a relationship in general with someone that you care about. The vibe that I'm getting is that there is some sort of stuckness or wall between the two of you. I almost wanted to say separation, but I don't mean it in like, I mean, it could be accurate, but I don't like using that terminology. But there is some sort of divide between the Elk and the Otter. And I guess I can go into descriptions of each or the vibes that they're giving off so that you can kind of know which one you are. And it's okay if you resonate with both. If you resonate with both, you just need to take the messages for all. And if they both sound like parts of you, it could be both parts of you and two different people. Truths can coexist. So the Elk energy is someone who is very grounded, stable, reliable, consistent. The energy is definitely more masculine, but it's important to remember that masculine energy can exist within anyone, and it does exist. My masculine energy, pretty fierce. I don't know about y'all and your masculine energy, but masculine energy and feminine energy exist in everyone at different rates. So in this case, the Elk is definitely more predominantly like a masculine energy. Doesn't mean that they are a man, but they could be a man with masculine energy. But overall, this is someone who is reliable, consistent, and someone who really cares about not only being their best self, but providing for others, showing up for others, being supportive for others. And sometimes the Elk person may not be very discerning with that quality, especially if the Elk and the Otter, like if you end up resonating with that as a romantic thing. On the Elk's end, the Elk may have responsibilities that the Otter doesn't, and the Elk may have a hard time delegating those responsibilities or making the choices that accurately reflect the Elk's actual feelings. I would say the biggest crime that the Elk commits at times is maybe having an inflated ego or getting really caught up in things, but you know, we're all guilty of that. And I definitely think that in the Elk's case, they're hardcore comparing themselves to the Otter in a way where they feel like the Otter is above them. And you can even see it in how the Elk is looking up, but the Otter's looking straight. And it's interesting because silver, even in the guidebook, it talks about it being second to gold. And that even though gold doesn't tarnish, silver does. Silver is cold. It has a mirror-like quality to it. And it tarnishes. So if it's not polished, it's gonna tarnish. And I think that in the Elk's case, they may compare themselves to the Otter and believe that they're second best, or believe that they need to be more polished or put themselves together. The fact that we have the Castle here, you know, this can often indicate like a grand residence or you know, a big structure. So for example, if the otter has a nicer house than the elk, you know, the elk might be thinking like, well, I need to have a nicer house for the otter. Like I need the otter to see me as an equal, which I think is really interesting, because I think the crux of what the elk is going through is not realizing that they are creating division with the otter because they believe they need to be better, either better than the otter in order to be worthy of the otter, or be as good or as equal as the otter in order to be worthy of the otter. I'm gonna try not to make a ton of otter puns. But if I'm being honest, if this is a romantic situation, like for the elk, there's no otter person. And they, I'm sorry, I had to. And they really do, like, they want to be the best version of themselves. And I think there's part of their ego that, especially on a material realm, because the elk is showing up in earth energy. And in the elk's case, it seems like they are really focused on getting their shiz together, but in the process of doing that, they may be neglecting the otter a bit, or not paying as much attention to the otter maybe as the otter would like, or something like that. Let's talk about the otter though, and we'll circle back. The otter person is definitely, if you're the otter person, someone who is trying to enjoy their life and be content and embrace the beautiful experiences. But I think that there is something that is preventing the otter from fully embracing their life right now. And I think it has to do with the fact that their connection with the elk is not where they would like it to be. Because truthfully, the otter is just as enamored with the elk, if this is a real romantic thing. And I think, in fact, the otter may be struggling with illusions around the elk's lack of presence, or illusions around why these walls are there. I feel like the otter really wants to clear the air with the elk. And no matter what type of connection this is, I definitely think that the otter person really wants to just have more fun with the elk and doesn't like the fact that there is this wall between the two of them. I feel like the otter person too also has feelings of unworthiness and feeling like they're not good enough. And actually, one of the ironies here is that I think that the elk taking action to try to feel better about themselves and make themselves feel better on a material level, the time and effort and energy they put into that causes, you know, obviously takes away from their ability to interact with the otter. So then the otter might be taking that and being like, well, am I not good enough for the elk? I knew it, the elk doesn't like me, or I knew it, like, the elk doesn't want me, or, you know, creating stories about why the elk is doing what they're doing that aren't true. No matter what, there's definitely a mutual bond between the two of you that really matters. And for whatever reason, there are walls up or a division that is making it harder for the both of you to connect. And whether that is mutually you're doing, I think it is partially mutually you're doing, because I think the otter is kind of out of fear retreating and maybe being more withdrawn because the elk is. And they may be taking that as like a sign to withdraw themselves, whereas the elk is withdrawing because they want to be better for the otter. Or they find it too challenging to interact with the otter because they don't feel good enough with themselves yet. And the ironic thing is that what the elk doesn't realize is that the otter is not judging them the way the elk judges themselves. And so the otter is kind of bewildered because they're like, I just want to vibe with you, elk. Like, I don't know why this has to be so difficult. Like, I don't know why you won't just like let me in. It makes me think of, who is it? Eric Andre is like, let me in. Like I wouldn't be shocked if the otter were more unfettered or just less insecure about being rejected by the elk, if they would just kind of bang on the walls of the elk and be like, let me in. Because I do think that they want to enjoy and appreciate their life more. But the one thing that I will say about, if you are the otter person, the elk person is not stopping you from embracing and enjoying and celebrating your life. It's perfectly understandable why you would want them to join you. But if they can't even enjoy themselves because they don't feel good enough to be there, is it really worth it? I don't know. I don't know that answer. But if you're the elk person, I would really tell you that a lot of the standards you're holding yourself to, the otter doesn't even care about or have on their mind. In fact, a lot of the things that you believe to be what makes you a worthy person or what makes you an effective person or a worthy partner or a worthy friend or whatever are not standards that the otter is holding you to. And in fact, if you see yourself as second best to the otter in any way, you need to take a good hard look in the mirror and ask yourself why you believe that to be true. Is it because you're holding yourself to material standards that the otter has that you don't? Is it because you believe that you need to be on equal footing on all levels with the otter in order for that to be the case? I guarantee there are plenty of situations where if you're the elk person or the elk person in general is way more powerful than the otter and has way more to give and is way better than the otter, not in like a literal sense, but like in terms of skills or things you have or things you do, like whatever it may be. Like we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And I feel like the elk is looking at their weaknesses and the otter's strengths and exacerbating both of those to create this idea in their head that they're not good enough and that they somehow need to earn the otter's company or attention or respect. Whereas the otter just wants the elk around because they like or love the elk, and they just want to spend time. And so they're taking the elk retreating as the elk not being interested. And then in turn, the otter's then going, well, why am I not good enough? Like, and the truth is that both of you are good enough just as you are, but the elk is projecting their own insecurities and believing that they are less than, and the otter is taking the elk's behavior as a reflection of their worth, and it's not. In fact, the otter is also probably creating untrue stories. This is why this came out in reverse. If you are the otter person, intuitively, if you feel like things are fine or feel like the reason why there's this division has nothing to do with you, but your brain is running through stories anyway, you need to call that out, because those stories that you're running in your head may be creating a lot more damage to the actual relationship between the two of you than you realize. And I think that in the otter's case, you know, the otter may have to be the one to clear the air here, because it seems like the elk is very focused on doing what they think they need to do in order to be more worthy of the otter's time and attention. And even that idea, I don't care whether you're the elk or the otter, if you ever believe that you need to earn love or that you need to earn connection or earn affection, that is not rooted in truth. That is rooted in distorted conditional love. And in reality, love just is. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be deserving of it. It just is. Whether you make $10 or $10 million, whether you live in a humble abode or a giant mansion, love just is. And in fact, we all heard the phrase, mo money, mo problems. Like, a lot of times, like, even this castle card talks about how even though it holds abundance and riches, it also keeps things out. It also keeps people stuck. It also keeps you separate. And so I really do think there is this distortion on both ends where you both are taking, where I think the otter is taking the elk's behavior maybe more personally because they just want to share their life and share joy with the elk. But the elk is unable to see that because the elk doesn't believe they're worthy of those experiences unless they've earned them, which heartbreaking. But if this is all you, and it could be both, it could be this situation and all you, it definitely seems like the practical side of you, the masculine side of you, is not allowing you to enjoy the present moment. And I bet even if there is two of you, both of you would resonate with that. There is a real stuckness around this present energy where the otter is going unseen and the elk is so focused on what needs to be done and what they think needs to happen that they're missing out on their opportunity to experience joy. And so if these are both aspects of self, what I would say is that you're dealing with an experience where you don't feel like you're good enough and you feel like you need more in order to enjoy and celebrate your life, which is not true. And in fact, if you do that, you're gonna get to where you wanted to be and realize how much life you missed out on. Life doesn't stop for anyone. And you only have whatever you're like you don't even know, like, life is a precious thing. Let me try to word this correctly. You only have one life, at least as the version of you. I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are, but what I do know is that you only get this one life as you. Unless you believe in them. Okay, get rid of multiverse theory and just in this life, as you, in this experience, in this present moment, you only have that. And in each moment, that's the last of that moment. And you will miss out on so much life and so much joy if you push it off into the future, because you will get there and realize that everything that you were working for wasn't what would make you happy in the first place. Connection would, joy would. And so I feel like that is kind of the heartbreaking situation between, if this is two people, the elk and the otter here, because I feel like the otter is too afraid to speak up about their feelings and about their truth. And the elk person, they know how they feel about the otter. They know what they feel and what they believe to be true. But they also think that they know that they have to do X, Y, Z in order to enjoy themselves with the otter, and that's just not true. What they really need to do is let go of how they define their worth and recognize that vibes are vibes. And if there's good vibes between the two of you, why are you letting some silly material notion get in the way of that? Money can be made and lost. Possessions can be gained and lost. That's life. But memories are priceless, and positive experiences and special connections are priceless. And whether this is just about you and someone else, or just about you and someone else, there are boundless opportunities for the two of you to connect that are not happening because both of you are engaging in a way of operating that is keeping you stuck from connecting with one another. Both of you are falling into different shadows and illusions that you have about yourselves, about your worth, about your lovability. And I think honestly, the both of you are putting too much pressure on yourselves and also not recognizing how that pressure is robbing the both of you of the ability to feel joy on an individual level and with one another. Otter person. If the only reason you're not letting yourself feel joy is because the elk isn't joining you, that's distorted with peace and love. Like, you have to be able to feel joy whether they show up or not, because what a sad thing to have everything except for one thing and then believe that you're not worthy of enjoying yourself. Elk person. All the otter wants to do is connect with you and spend time with you and have fun with you. None of that has to do with you providing for them. And with peace and love, I think for some of you, the otter, and maybe for the otter you can confirm, the otter can provide for themselves. the point here is what the otter can't provide is that sense of connection and community that they so desperately crave, especially from you if you're the elk. And that's, I think, what this castle is really highlighting, is that both of you desire connection, but both of you are falling in to illusions around what's actually happening and what needs to happen. When in fact, what really needs to happen here is just maybe more honest conversation, more compassion. Now, the one thing I will say is that it doesn't really matter what the otter says. If the elk is unwilling to see the truth, there's really not a lot the otter can do there. There's no otter thing you can do. But that's why it's so important, if you are the otter, to enjoy and celebrate and love your life anyway. Because if the elk is meant to wake up to what's true, they will. And with the elk person, stop beating yourself up. You're doing amazing, sweetie. And you're still silver. Like, and this is the thing. I love silver. You seem like, how often do I wear gold? Very rarely. Silver is the shit. I love silver. And just because it may be deemed as second to gold in society doesn't mean that's true. Look at me. I choose silver. I love silver. I also like gold, but silver is more my vibe. Like, and what you may be judging as unworthy or not good enough may be exactly what the otter wants or needs. And if this is all a representation of you, you're really being encouraged to recognize that the only person holding you back from connecting more with others and being more engaged and involved in your life and being more, and just having more joy and fun in your life is just opening up more, opening up to life more, connecting with people more, polishing what tarnishes so that you're not judging yourself for that. You know, eventually when silver gets tarnished, it's not going to be a mirror reflection. It's going to distort and it's not going to be clear. So if that resonates, then this is what you need to know. So we're gonna have to do this a bit differently since there's different factors that were not in the last two piles. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask on an individual level what the elk and the otter need to know, and then we're gonna go from there. But if you're enjoying this reading and you would like to support me, hitting a little like or the subscribe button or leaving me a little comment is super helpful. So thank you to everyone who does that. Also letting my ads play in the background, also incredibly helpful. And if you have YouTube Premium, you don't get any ads. And just by watching me, you help me, so thank you. But no matter what, thank you for being here, and thank you for being the reason why I'm reading today. So, Spirit, what does the elk need to know about this energy and about this situation? Ooh, okay, we have the Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles. And what does the otter need to know about this situation? We have the Two of Wands. Okay. Can you clarify the Two of Wands? Ha! I knew it. Ah! Turn your ass upright. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with these. The elk person. Lack mentality is getting in your way. You believe you're not enough. You believe you don't have enough. You believe you need to have more. And that is, one, affecting your ability to be abundant, and two, affecting your ability to make life more enjoyable. With the Ten of Pentacles here, it's very important to know that you will be abundant no matter what. You will have more than enough. Like, the elk is such a solid, stable energy. And you may feel like you have to have it all before you're even worthy of connecting with the otter whatsoever. That's just not true. In fact, what you're holding on to, the beliefs that you're holding on to, are stopping you from actually letting go and letting life in. with the Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles, there may be attachments to like family systems or belief systems that you inherited from your family, or you may have, if you're the elk, like very traditional ideas of how you must be or how you must show up. And I feel like it's holding on to those that's actually hindering your growth and hindering your ability to just reap the abundance you're actually meant to reap. Like the elk will, if you're the elk person and you believe that the otter is more abundant than you or has more than you, it's literally because you believe that. It's not the truth. And like I said, money can be gained and lost. And I think one message that the universe has for the elk is that Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Ten of Pentacles isn't either. Abundance and like the Ten of Pentacles can represent like generational wealth and a legacy. And that's something that often takes a long time to build. It can happen in a short amount of time for some lucky people, but for many, it takes a lot of time, and for others, they only get so far. But is their life any less rich because of it? No. I would say the thing that makes life most rich is sharing it with the people that you love and having positive, fun, joyful experiences. You don't take your bag with you when you leave this planet. All you take with you are your soul's memories. That's it. And I feel like if you're the otter person, what you need to know is that the elk is not stopping you from having fun. And that's why this came out in reverse. If you are stopping yourself from having fun or embracing life now because you're constantly trying to make room and make space for the elk, you need to stop. Because the elk is going to show up how they're going to show up. Like you cannot change the elk's antlers here. Like if they're going to change their mind or change how they view things, it's because they're going to do it. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do. That is like basically is virtually impossible. Unless they know it to be true, they are not going to listen. And it doesn't matter if you say it till you're blue in the face how happy you are to be around them or how much you love having them around you. It doesn't matter, because they're not feeling your joy when they're around you, or even their joy when they're around you. They're feeling, well, one, the joy of being around you, but two, the insecurity of feeling like they're unworthy of that. And you know what's so interesting is you can even see the colors of the sun here are wrapped around the elk's antlers and the sun. And so I feel like if you're the otter person, you need to know that your joy is infectious and actually inspires the elk whether you're interacting with them or not. And that's one reason why it's so, so, so important that you do not let the elk's behavior determine how you act towards them if you're the otter. With the Two of Wands here, don't slow your life down for them. You know, one thing that I'm seeing is that, like, I feel like your paths are already converging beautifully. Like, there's nothing you need to do or worry about. You know, it's an illusion that's making you believe that things are wrong. If anything, just continue. Whenever you get fears, if you're the otter person, seek the light and seek the truth in that. And when you have fearful thoughts, ask yourself, is that really true, or are those my insecurities rearing their ugly head? And with the Two of Wands here, stop delaying life. Make plans to do fun things now. And don't stop trying to include the elk in those plans. And here's one thing I will say. It could be, just because you may not be able to convince them of what you feel or convince them of the truth that they're worthy as they are, that doesn't mean you need to cut them out of your life. I think actually cutting them out of your life would be the exact thing that affirmed to them that they weren't good enough in the first place. I think this is more so a gentle acceptance of where the elk is at, and understanding that as the otter, you're going to live your life and do what brings you the most joy. And if it is still in alignment for you to include the elk, and if it still feels good for you to try to include the elk, do it. And whether the elk shows up or not, that's their decision. But ultimately, If you're the otter, you can sit back with no regrets and say, you know what, I'm living my life and I'm enjoying it. I would love to have the elk there. And the more you embody that energy, it's infectious. The elk's gonna show up anyway, whether they feel good or not. And so I feel like what you need to do is if you're the otter, let go of the plans that you have. And instead of trying to focus on plans to like come together with the elk specifically or like fix this, instead ask yourself what barriers are between you and your joy right now. And are those barriers created or are they very real? You know, are those barriers things that are outside of your control that you are allowing to rob you of your joy? Because there's a lot of real joy here. And the sun came out blocked because it's like, you know, if you're the otter, there's lots of light and beautiful blessings. And if you're the elk too, you should know there's lots of light and beautiful blessings in your life. And you may not be embracing it or enjoying it because you believe that you have to earn enjoyment. And that's just not true. You don't need to have success to be happy. And the definition of success is subjective. And, you know, a lot of the mainstream definitions of success lead to nothing but materialism, misery, and isolation. So there's nothing wrong with being a material girl, but like what I'm saying is that material possessions can very much become an inhibitor and a barrier from connection. And in the otter's case, material possessions are not even of their concern or something they care about. What they care about is the elk in general. Like they would not care whether the elk had 2 pentacles or 10. Like they just want to be with the elk and have fun with the elk and spend time with the elk. And I definitely think that, you know, the otter is having to learn how to surrender to the fact that they can't control what the elk does or how the elk views things, but they can control how they respond to the elk. And so I think if you're the otter person and you really care about the elk, continue embodying the good energy that you feel when you're around them. Continue keeping it lighthearted. Continue embracing your joy. Continue making plans that are solely fulfilling for you. Because if the elk shows up, great. If not, you still have a good time. And that's the thing, is the more you live by that example, the more the elk will realize, wait a second, why am I so focused on this? Like, I'm miserable. I'm not having fun. And see, and what it comes down to is the elk has certain egoic beliefs around their worthiness, and their ego is afraid that they're not good enough. And so they're working overtime, probably literally working overtime, to try and get to this 10 of Pentacles like as fast as possible. And it's really slowing the elk down, actually, because they're not saving room for joy. They're not saving room for connection, and they're pushing everybody out, including the otter. And so this is kind of a mutually created situation. But if you're the elk, you need to surrender your belief systems about worth and material possessions being intrinsic to your ability to feel joy or celebrate life or feel good. And if you're the otter, you need to recognize that if you are upset at the elk for not showing up and believing that the elk is the reason why you're not enjoying your life as much as you could be, that is an illusion that you need to surrender. Because the elk, no person ever should be the sole reason why you are happy or not. I mean, okay, certain situations, if you're in a disagreement with someone or if you're upset about how something is happening, that can happen for a period of time, but not in general. You know what I mean? There's a difference between that. And if you're the otter person, what you need to understand is that life is not going to stop for you. And you have to find those joyful moments and let yourself feel that, whether everything is perfect or not. I think both of you want that perfection. The otter is like, oh, well, once the elk's here, everything will be perfect. And the elk's like, oh, the otter's perfect, but I need to be good enough so that I don't lose that perfection. And it's just like, guys, just kiss and make up. Like, this is, you got, like, come on. This is very, like, you know when two people are very obviously into each other, but they're like like everybody can tell, but the other, and they're both like all in their heads and like worried about it. It's just like, come on, just get over it. Stop it. Obviously, it's much easier said than done, but I think that this is headed in a positive direction, and I think that this reading came up for a reason to help change this. So, Spirit, how can the elk and the otter heal this divide between the two of them? What do they both need to do in order to come closer together? You guys need to talk. Like, you need to be honest and be honest about your experiences. I feel like both of you, if you guys haven't had a heart-to-heart, that is the very first thing you guys should have been, that is the very first thing that you guys need to focus on. And maybe one of you needs to be the initiator of that. But I just heard Heidi Klum in my head, like from Project Runway, you know how she always goes, one of you will be the winner and one of you will be out. And it's like, this is not Project Runway. This is real life. And it's not fashion. Like, fashion is such an excellent example of like something that like a bunch of socially created beliefs around cloth and like whole systems and cultures around the cloth that we wear, and it's cutthroat and it's intense and it's like, yeah, it's an extension of human behavior, but it's not the truth. Like, the universe does not care whether you wear a toga or Balenciaga. Like, the universe does not care what you are wearing. You were born naked and the rest is drag, in the words of our Lord and Savior, Paul. And in your case, whether you're the elk or the otter or both, need to start seeing things as they are. And you need to start being more open and honest and communicating with each other. The worst thing that happens is you don't see eye to eye. But I think what you both are going to realize is that you have a lot more in common than you realize. And what's been separating and dividing you is not the behavior of the other, but the beliefs within the both of you. And I mean, even this Ace of Swords, this regenerative energy, like, the truth will unite you. It will not divide you. It is these illusions that you've bought into that has created this division in the first place, or continue to exacerbate this division. This Ace of Swords is all about bringing the both of you together and asking either one or both of you to swallow your pride and make the first move to be honest and talk. If not, I think the universe will create that, but I wouldn't want either of you to rely on that. Whoever is seeing this, take it as a sign that you should reach out and just say, hey, can we talk soon? And just talk from the heart. You know, if you're the otter, just be like, hey, you know, elk, I know these material things are important to you, and I know that, you know, having more is important to you and providing for others is important to you, but you're really important to me, and I just love spending time with you. I don't need you to provide me with gifts. I need you to provide me with your company. The most valuable part of you is your presence, and that's what I'm missing. And the elk needs to talk to the otter and say, listen, otter, you are utterly amazing. Pun optional. And I just want to be the best version of myself for you. And I just want to have the absolute most so that I don't lose you, and so that I'm worthy of you, and that I'm not standing next to you worried that I'm not good enough for you. And that phrase of one of you will be the winner and one of you will be out, you need to discard it because it's not true. Both of you can win. But both of you are out right now. Both of you are losing. Both of you are flopping right now because you are believing in these ideas that are not the truth of what actually exists between the two of you. And if this is all a representation of you, you need to recognize that your desire for material comfort and your desire for more is robbing you of your joy right now. And I literally wish that every single person on this planet could have all of their wildest dreams come true so they could realize it's not the answer. And that even when you have it all, it can still feel like you don't have enough. And you think I'm wrong? Look at the billionaires. Just look at them. Look at their behaviors. Do they look like happy people? Read Elon Musk's biography by Walter Isaacson. He's not a happy person. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg is a happy person? He literally talked about the fact that every day he wakes up and it feels like he's been punched in the gut. I think that is a worthy punishment of the crimes he's committed. Maybe one of them. But yeah, it's not great. They are divided from humanity in a way that is so powerful that a lot of them are devoid of it. Isn't that sad? And at the same time, I'm not going to go into a diatribe about that. I'm not here to talk about that stuff. But what I do want to say is that I believe in the concept of infinite abundance, and the economy is based on the concept of scarcity. I just think things are kind of fucked. And I think that one of the most fucked things about this situation is that there's no reason for it to be fucked, other than both of you are fucking yourselves over. When really, I think some of you would rather be fucking each other. I'm just like, come on, do it. Get over it. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but like, there's nothing wrong with having a little fun. Like, come on. And I think really what you both need is intellectual intimacy in a way where, like, intimacy in a way that's not based actually in physicality. I mean, it could be. And maybe talking could lead to that physical intimacy, but I think that this is more about intimacy by embracing truth and being honest and just laying it all out there. Because no matter what, I don't think either of you want to hurt each other. Either of you want to, screw the other over. I think both of you are just really afraid of being hurt, and that's so understandable, and that's so like human. And I think both of you maybe see one another in such a high light that you forget that the light you see in them is also within you, and that you both hold each other you hold yourselves to standards that you don't hold each other to. And I feel like really all that needs to happen is truth just needs to come out, because both of you, and oh my God, that is so cool. The lightning strikes are literally coming directly from the otter and the elk. That's so cool. And I think it's just so powerful, because it's like both of you need to see truths that you haven't been seeing before, individually and together. And it's through communicating the truth and embodying that truth so honestly and so earnestly, that is what is going to help the both of you get closer. And that is what is going to break these walls down. Because whether you realize it or not, you have walls within you the same way this other person does. Whether you're the elk or the otter, you have walls. Whether you're walling yourself off from the experience to feel joy, or you're walling yourself off from the people you're afraid to lose, there is a fear there for both of you. And the walls you both have created. And the only way to knock them down is with the sword of truth, and with communication, honesty, and kindness. And those opportunities are coming, but aces are all about opportunities. So, if you don't take them, this will continue. And the thing is that you can create an opportunity at any time. A simple text or a simple phone call can go so far. So don't doubt that. But I just want to see now, is there anything else these two need to know? Yeah, you both need to walk away from the emotional wounds of the past and heal the heartbreak. Both of you, this is what's holding the both of you back. Holding on to emotional pain from the past and believing it to be true about yourselves. Whatever story you've told about the pain of the past, whether it occurred between the two of you or it occurred with other people, it is definitely inhibiting both of your abilities to connect with each other. And what you're experiencing is not the truth of what actually exists between the two of you. It's what's being created by the unconscious wounds you're projecting onto each other, or the conscious wounds you're projecting onto each other, but believing that they're not fixed or healed. Both of you need to walk away from what you know isn't serving you. And in the elk's case, it's a belief system that robs them of their ability to connect with the people that they love. And for the otter, it's the belief system that they can't enjoy their life unless everything is perfect and they have everything they want in it. both of you can feel joy without each other, but I guarantee both of you will feel so much joy together and being honest. And there's a real need for the both of you to walk away from whatever past painful experiences you may be holding on to that have created belief systems about yourself and belief systems about connecting with another, especially one that you care about. I understand that it's very scary to lose someone you love. It sucks to feel heartbreak. But in the words of our Lord and Savior Barbie, when you find the place that your heart belongs, you will never leave. Barbie Princess and the Pauper, snubbed at the Oscars and the Grammys. Such a fire movie, and actually such an excellent example of how sometimes things need to fall apart to come together. And maybe for some of you there was this situation of falling apart to come together. But what you both need to understand is that the fears that you have and the belief systems you've formed about yourselves in terms of what's getting in your way of the both of you connecting, they're rooted in your own unhealed wounds. And so for the otter, I would say these wounds are more so around rejection. And for the elk, I would say maybe they're more around abandonment. But I think both work for the other as well. And I think that one of the most helpful things that you can do is recognize that you don't need to heal these wounds entirely in order to face the other. In fact, it could be facing the other that helps you heal the wounds, because you realize, oh, not everyone is going to abandon me when I show vulnerability. Oh, not everyone is going to dismiss and reject me when I try to have an open and honest conversation. Like, there's so much more to the both of you that you're not seeing because you're looking at one another through the lens of your own pain or the lens of your own painful past. And it's getting in the way of both of you being able to enjoy each other's company more. And I will say the otter may have more challenges in terms of being patient with the elk's process of seeing this reality. But at the very least, the otter telling the elk the truth and the truth of what the elk means to them and how they feel, that alone is going to be very powerful in terms of the elk seeing more clearly. And, you know, a lot of times when we get, like, if you've watched more than one of my readings, I'm sure if this is not your first one, like, or if you watch readings in general, you probably know, like, you need time for things to, like, marinate. Like, you need time to integrate truth. And it may take some time, you know, it may take some time even from having a powerful conversation for things to move forward, but that's okay. The only reason the both of you are stuck here is because you are both stuck on belief systems that don't serve you. I think doing both these things, addressing those things individually and addressing them together would be very powerful. You don't even need to address the pain, just the truth of what you feel and how the other matters to you. That is powerful. That is what matters. And anything that causes you to descend into a form of behavior that isn't rooted in love, that isn't rooted in your heart space, that is rooted in ego or rooted in a fear of losing or a fear of being out, just know that that's not the truth. That is your fear talking, and it's your ego trying to protect you. And while it's trying to protect you, it doesn't do a very good job, because what it does is it keeps the joy out and keeps the fear in. And that's not what's meant to happen here. The truth is meant to show you guys that you're more intertwined than you realize, and that in fact you both share the same truth. So I think this is beautiful. So with that being said, the what you need to know part kind of became the guidance part. So we're going to indulge a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to see both of your truths about each other, like the truths that are in your heart. So I want to see the elk's truth in their heart for the otter's truth in their heart for the elk, and the truth that you both have in your heart. For those of you where this is all aspects of self, sorry, but the separate energies really rang true. If you feel like you didn't get the most satisfying messages in this reading, I would really encourage you to try piles 1 or 2 and see if maybe there's a message for you there. If not, I've done plenty of these like types of readings, so feel free to check out another one or do something else that brings you joy. But Spirit, what is in the elk's heart for the otter? What is in the elk's heart for the otter? Yeah. What is in the otter's heart for the elk? What is in the otter's heart? Yeah. And finally, what is in the elk and the otter's hearts for each other? What is mutually in each other's hearts? That's not all of it. What's underneath that though? There we go. Bottom of the deck is the Fool. Just know what you're going through right now, both of you, is creating a fresh start. Okay. What's in the elk's heart? The elk sees the otter as the ideal partner. And so if you are already in a relationship with one another, just know that the elk person, they not only, if you're already in a relationship with each other, just know that like the elk's behavior is not a sign that they're like wanting to be distant from you or wanting to be done from you. They want to be your equal. And so sometimes they may take a step away because they believe that's a step together and balancing things out. But in the elk's heart, they see the otter as their ideal partner. And if they already, and if you're the otter, or if you're the otter, I think their greatest fear is losing you and not being your equal, not being good enough for you. And so there is this like, I need things to be balanced. I need to be worthy and I need to be good enough. And the truth is that, you know, it's because they just care and they want to be their best self and they don't want to give the otter anything less than their best, but they don't even recognize their best because what is, they judge at and deem as not good enough. So it's kind of an incessant cycle. But the truth always comes out, and justice is all about the truth. So just know, if you're the otter, what you feel for the elk, they feel for you. Like, this is balanced energy. And if you're the elk, what you need to know is that the otter's not going anywhere. Because let's talk about the otter. Speaking of fun, the otter, now, the Devil card can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but I understand why this interpretation is coming out. And that's because the otter is attached to the elk in a way that if the elk knew, they wouldn't worry. And I'm almost hesitant to tell the elk that, because if you two are not together, don't take that as permission to just neglect the otter, because the otter's going to continue finding their own joy, just letting you know. But the otter has an attachment to the elk that is very real. And even if you're not like together in a committed relationship, the otter is attached to whatever is meant to unfold between the two of you. And also what's in the otter's heart is the desire to just have more fun and to play hard. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of physical innuendos here, but like I said, it's not from a lusty place. It's from a desire to be like intimate and connected. And one thing also in the otter's heart is an attachment to a fear around rejection and not being good enough, because I think that that's something that the otter has had a lot. But the otter is not going to let go of the elk, and the elk is certainly the elk is doing what they're doing because they don't want to let go of the otter, and they want to be good enough for the otter so that the otter doesn't realize that they're not good enough. And that's just not true. What the elk needs to realize is that the otter has always thought they were good enough, and it had nothing to do with what they had or who you were. It was everything to do, if you're the elk, and it had everything to do with just who the elk is and how much fun and how good it feels for the otter to spend time with the elk. And I feel like another thing in the otter's heart is the desire to purge and let go of what's keeping you both attached to things that take you away from the other. I think both of you are tired of it. And let's talk about what's in your heart, because this actually makes me really excited. These are all cards of communication. Both of you are allowing your petty egos, and I don't say petty egos in a way that are harsh, but just like the more surface level, childish, like the Page of Swords is the most ill-equipped to deal with matters of the heart. And both of you maybe have never had a situation where you've had to be so truthful, or it's been so scary to put everything on the line. But both of you want something magical together. Like, this is the Magician, and there's lilies here. Lilies to me are representative of spiritual love. And I think in this case, whatever you desire to have with this person, they also desire that. And both of you are holding back because you're in your heads about this situation and you're not talking about the truth. Both of you are holding back because the belief systems that you're holding about yourselves and each other and what's actually happening, when you're making that judgment call from your conscious mind, you are resorting to making that judgment call from the unconscious wounds you have yet to address, or the wounds that you may be consciously aware of, but are still too impactful for you to make a different choice and step outside of that fear. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of courage, and I think what both of you need is some courage. But with this Eight of Swords here, both of you are not holding back because there's disinterest or rejection. Both of you are holding back because of fear and getting stuck in your heads. So what both of you need to do is remember that you wouldn't have been guided to this situation, and you wouldn't have even been guided to this reading if there wasn't some ultimate reason for it. And with the Magician here, both of you have the power to create a beautiful solution. And I feel like both of you feel entirely responsible for making that happen. And what you both need to understand is that it's not only both of your responsibilities, but there's also a spiritual component to this. You know, there may be cycles outside of your control, timelines outside of your control, or, you know, cycles that need to occur. But one thing I will say is that we have major arcana cards both of you play a major role in each other's lives. Like, both of you are important to the other. And you need to stop seeing the other as someone that can win, and rather someone that wants to be by your side, someone that wants to be your partner. You know, they don't want to fight you. They want to fight alongside you. They don't want to love someone else. They want to love you. But we can only love another as much as we're willing to love ourselves. And I know that's a massive cliche, but it's the truth. You know, both of you are experiencing that in different ways. And it's up to the both of you to create something different, to see the fear for what it is, to see how it traps you, and choose differently. Find a divine solution. And if you can't find it, pray for it. And if you don't know what to do, don't do anything until you get that eureka moment and you're ready to. Or just grow some cojones and just talk. The worst thing that can happen is it falls on deaf ears, but at least you got your truth out. And I don't think that's gonna happen. And at the very least, even if the immediate conversation is not that satisfying, I do believe the truth that it will unlock will be in the future. More than anything though, whatever you want in your heart with this person, they want that too. That's why this Magician came out. I knew there was more to this, but both of you are so unwilling to see that because the fear is so powerful. Like in the typical Eight of Swords, there's a blindfold around a woman and she's got swords all around her. And so if you want to be blind to the truth that there's a lot of love and a powerful connection here, fine. But you're only robbing yourselves of that opportunity to connect more deeply. And if you're the otter and you're placing all the blame on the elk, stop. Because the elk is not responsible for your joy. They may be responsible for your ability to connect with the elk, but that doesn't mean you can't speak your truth to the elk. You know what I'm saying? And if you're the elk, you need to stop believing that your dreams can only happen, or that you're only worthy of them, or that you're only worthy of what you want with the otter when you have enough. You are enough as you are. And it is that belief that you don't have enough or that you're not enough that is stopping you from having what you want already. Like what you desire has been here. It's been here for quite a while actually. And the universe has just been waiting for you to see that. So both of you have the ability to create a loving, harmonious outcome. You just have to be willing to swallow the pride involved in that and the fear involved in that and be willing to make those moves. Be willing to have the uncomfortable talks. Be willing to have conversations about those uncomfortable truths. Because truthfully, if you guys are meant to be in a relationship, or if you are in a relationship, communication is a massive, important part. So just know that there is a divine outcome that is a win-win for the both of you. Neither of you have to be out. Neither of you have to lose, but both of you are out and losing right now because you refuse to embrace the idea that you could win together. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and finish off with some positive quotes for you. I found this book of positive quotations. So I've just been like closing my eyes and like going through the pages and just kind of asking Spirit, what quotes might be useful for pile 3 that they need to hear. Be aware that young people have to be able to make their own mistakes and that times change. The best brewer sometimes makes a bad beer. We must somehow get comfortable with the reality of periodic failure. Like a trip to the dentist, the thought of occasional reverses may not make us tingle with joyful anticipation, but then again, it's not the end of the world. The progress of rivers to the ocean is not so rapid as to that of man to error. That's a pretty good one, Voltaire. All men are liable to error, and most men are, by passion or interest, under temptation to it. And to err is human, and to forgive is divine. Alexander Pope, you are on point. Show me a person who has never made a mistake, and I'll show you somebody who has never achieved as much. Joan Collins. Mistakes are the usual bridge between inexperience and wisdom. Ha! Flops are a part of life's menu, and I've never been a girl to miss out on any of the courses. Rosalind, what a queen. Every man's got to figure to get beat sometime. Okay, Joe, I don't really get that one. I mean, I get it, but like, meh. Who thinks it is just to be judged by a single error? Beryl, have you met the internet? Probably not. I don't even know if Beryl's a he or a she, or maybe a they. But I don't know. What I do know is that this is all about not being afraid to fail and make mistakes with each other, because it will lead to forgiveness and healing. To forgive is divine. If you want to have that experience between the two of you, be willing to forgive the past, forgive yourselves for what you haven't known, and be willing to move towards the future. To overcome difficulties is to experience the full delight of existence. Success is not to be measured so much by the position one has reached in life as by the obstacles he has overcome trying to succeed. Booker T. Washington, yes. Booker came to slay. Happiness is the overcoming of not known obstacles towards a known goal. And I feel like that's the thing, is like you both need, L. Ron Hubbard. Okay, well, you know, a stinker can make a good point. Let's just be real. And difficulties exist to be surmounted. Only one feat is possible, not to have run away. We must prepare and study truth under every aspect, endeavoring to ignore nothing if we do not wish to fall into the abyss of the unknown when the hour shall strike. And we really only face up to ourselves when we are afraid. So, wow. Okay, I'm gonna hold this up to you guys so that you can see it and take all of these. I think these are all meant for you. That's why I'm reading 50 million of them. Yeah, some of these popped off. And I actually think they're really true. And what you're afraid of is actually the very thing that is going to move the both of you closer together. So with that being said, pile 3, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. Thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else. I'm not a monster. I don't expect you to watch them, but By just letting them play, you help me out so much more than you realize. And if you have YouTube Premium, you help me just by watching. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and you can click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, you can check out my candles, be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. You can check out my other videos, especially ones with extended. So you can check out my Instagram, or I think that's it. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye.